18th, 2024. It is 9:01 a.m. This is a regular scheduled town council meeting for the town of Fort Myers Beach. All members are present, including the town manager, the town clerk, and the town attorney. Please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
As we begin this meeting, let us be thankful for every seat that has been filled here today, for each mind and heart that fills the presence of this room, for many old and fast friends, for acquaintances of a very brief time, and those whom we have yet to meet. As we enter this holiday season, let us share with one another a joyful heart and warm smiles filled with kindness. Grant us guidance and wisdom. Help us to engage in meaningful, productive discussions that nurture our community as we work together for the good of our citizens and visitors. And let us leave here today with our hearts and heads filled with hope for a bright future. Amen.
To the flag for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next is the certification of the election results. This is a resolution 24-250, certification of the 2024 municipal election. A resolution of the town of a resolution of the town council of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, certifying the results of the 2024 town election for seats 3, 4, and 5, determining council members' seat assignments and providing an effective date. Town clerk.
Yes, Mayor, if you look up on your screen, the actual certified results are up there, which I received. Yeah, can we enlarge that a bit, maybe? Which I received Friday afternoon after the agenda packet had already been published. So this is the official results. I'll read the numbers. Dan Allers received a total of 2,044 votes. Jim Adderholt received a total of 1,957 votes. Scott Safford, 1,258 votes. And Greg Skasny, 1,137 votes. That's the official certified record from the Supervisor of Elections Office.
Okay.
Mayor, you may want to just ask if there's any public comment.
Okay. Is there any public comment on the election results? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Are there any questions from any council members? Okay, is there a motion to accept the certified results announced by the town clerk?
So moved.
Got a motion by Counselor King. I will second. Any further discussion? Do you need a roll call vote for that? Okay, Counselor King?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next is the inauguration. Oath of office. Based on the approval of resolution 24-250, the motion is to request administration of the oath of office to Daniel L. Allers, seat number 3, Jim Adderholt, seat 4, Scott Safford, seat number 5, and completion of the oath of office attached to this agenda item.
A motion to administer the oath. Is there a vote on that?
What's that? Is there a motion to administer the oath of office?
So moved.
Motion by Counselor Safford,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Oh, you want a roll call vote on that as well? Okay, Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Earl? Aye. Counselor King?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously.
So at this point, I believe the clerk will administer the oath.
And Mr. Adderholt has asked that Andy do it for him.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Are you doing it? I thought this, are the spouses?
I'm not certain. Good.
Spouse
There's
can do
been a
it?
change. Yes, that's
Okay.
fine.
If their spouses are doing it, Andy will substitute as my spouse. If the
Got
clerk's
it.
gonna do it, the clerk's gonna do it for everybody. Everything else comes.
That's fine. So do you want him up front? Would you like him up front?
Yeah, just have.
Yes.
you wanna stand
All
there?
right.
Yes.
Do they have to read this part or do they have to read? Okay. Ma'am. Okay.
Do you want to come up front to do it, or
Yes.
you're going to do it
Okay.
from right there?
I'll do. So do I got to read it or just respond? Got it.
But
Then
you
I don't
gotta,
As long as you approve, as long as you take the oath, I'm fine.
Via Zoom, so this is a whole
Just
new
this
process.
This passport, yeah. Do I
Up
say state
until-
of Florida?
Nope, I do solemnly.
Yeah.
And then
They're
with,
photographs.
Help me God.
We've never done this before here.
And kind of get the microphone if you could. You can take that mic out. Just
I will
pull.
just stand close. We talk loud.
Okay.
Do I have to raise my right hand? Okay. And repeat after her.
You were going to repeat after me.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support.
I can't memorize all that. I do solemnly swear or affirm
That I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and the government of the United States
the Constitution and the government of the United States
and the state of Florida.
and the state of Florida,
And I am duly qualified to hold office
and I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of state.
under the Constitution of state,
And that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of Fort Myers Beach Town Council.
and I will
Well,
well
and
and
faith-
faithfully
Perform
perform
the
the duties
duties
of the town of Fort Myers Beach
Council.
Council.
Yes.
That's it.
On which I am now about to enter,
On which I am now about to enter.
so help me God.
So help me God. That's it.
I do.
I do.
I do.
I do. Congratulations. Good.
Good job.
You're nuts. You're nuts.
Okay, that was seat number 3. Now seat number 4.
It's a new age. Good luck with that. No pressure, Andy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's just say, you raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear or affirm. I do solemnly swear or affirm. That I will support, protect, and defend. That I will support, protect, and defend. The Constitution and government of the United States. The Constitution and government of the United States. And the state of Florida. And the state of Florida. That I am duly qualified to hold office. That I am duly qualified to hold office. Under the Constitution of the state. Under the Constitution of the state. And that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of Fort Myers Beach Town Council. And that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of Fort Myers Beach Town Council. On which I'm now about to enter. So
Perform the duties of Fort Myers Beach Town Council,
Perform the duties of Fort Myers Beach Town Council,
of which I am now about to enter,
of which I am now about to enter.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Yeah.
I do.
I do.
There you go.
congratulations.
next.
All right. Next is the reorganization of council of newly elected officials.
Yes, when it fills.
I'm reading from my open. I will now open the floor for nominations for mayor per town attorney. No second is needed. Are there any nominations?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I would like to nominate Dan Allers to be mayor of the town of Fort Myers Beach.
Okay.
Do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Okay.
Are there any other nominations for the role of mayor? Okay, hearing none, we have one nomination, so we will now vote. The highest number of votes will be selected as mayor. We have ballots somewhere.
Madam Town Attorney,
Yes.
I move that we unanimously accept Dan Allers as our next mayor.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Motion and a second is, do we have to do roll call? Yes,
Yes.
okay. Vice Mayor,
I've just messed up Nancy's whole system.
That's fine. No, that's
okay,
fine.
yeah,
I vote aye.
okay. Counselor King,
All right.
Counselor Woodson,
Aye.
Counselor Safford.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously.
We are really striving towards transparency. So each one of you verbalized what your vote was. So it was announced. It's unanimous. So the
And we al-
mayor,
and we also-
congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you. And
Do
we
you want
also
the
have these
paper
sheets.
still?
You want the paper still too?
I don't think it's necessary. However, if you want to provide those, that's fine.
Okay. We'll,
Because your vote has been announced
okay.
for the vice mayor.
For the vice mayor, we will now open the floor for nominations for the vice mayor per the town attorney. No second is needed. Are there any nominations for the vice mayor?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would like to talk about the person to my left, Jim Adderholt, unlike Wink Wink calls him Adderholt. But Jim's passion for Fort Myers Beach is second to none. Jim prefers to work behind the scenes, utilizing his contacts in DC. Doing so, he got the post office back open, worked hard to get Publix, CVS, 7-Eleven back up and running. And Jim has been there to help bring Santini Plaza back online. For all those reasons and many, many more, I nominate Jim Adderholt for Vice Mayor of Fort Myers Beach.
Got a nomination for Vice Mayor Adderholt. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we have one nomination, so we will now vote. The highest number of votes will be selected as Vice Mayor. Town clerk will announce the vote and project it on the screen. Just follow my script.
Okay,
We need to collect them.
we need to collect them.
You gave me two, Dan.
Well, the one was for the other.
You can only vote once for the vice mayor.
Well, this was for the mayor. I didn't know if you wanted it.
We'll get them after.
Okay.
Three, 4, 5. Okay, so the clerk will read and post. She'll make the announcement and we'll be posting it on the screen.
Yep, so this is for vice mayor. Scott Safford voted Jim Adderholt. Dan Allers voted Jim Adderholt. Karen Woodson voted Jim Adderholt. Jim Adderholt voted Jim Adderholt.
Bringer.
And John King voted Jim Adderholt.
Okay. Is there a motion to certify the result and vote to select Jim Adderholt as vice mayor?
So moved.
A motion by Counselor King,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Safford. Any further discussion? Counselor King,
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Done with the scripts. All right. Next is the approval of the final agenda. Is there a motion to approve the final agenda?
Mayor,
Yes.
item B under consent or item A under administrative agenda, they're both the same item, so one of them needs to be pulled.
What'd you say? Consent B and what was the other?
Consent B and administrative agenda A.
So this is a resolution to reassess your voting procedures for your committees, and it's important that that occur before you actually adopt it and implement it. So you can take it off of your consent. It's probably easier, and
Okay.
then we just do it before you do your committee selection.
All right. I have no problems with removing consent agenda item number B. Is there any? All right. Are there any other changes to the agenda as amended? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the amended agenda?
I'll move it.
Second.
Counselor King has a motion, seconded by Counselor Safford. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Next is public comment. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak, Madam Clerk?
I have one signed up for
Okay.
Jay Bursch.
Come on up, Jay.
I don't know, he signed up last week, so I'm not sure if he's
Oh.
here or not this morning.
Anyone here? Jay? Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in public? Yeah, come on up, Jackie.
Good morning, Council, down
Morning.
Fort Myers Beach residents and visitors, guests, and business owners. Jackie Lezak, Fort Myers Beach Chamber of Commerce. I'm here to proudly announce that we are actively, as we speak, loading tents in to the Diamond Head Beach Resort site for the 34th
Yay.
Annual American
All
Sand
right.
Sculpting Championship. So we have loaded in 18 dump trucks full of pristine sand from the quarry that matches our beach. We're super excited. They've already been put into place for the castles that you will see. The event starts Thursday. It runs 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at both the Diamond Head Beach location, where there is a $5 admission, but discount tickets are available online at fmbsandsculpting.com, and also at Old San Carlos location and the Bayside Veterans Park, where we will have vendors and live music every day from noon to 7. Vendors are 10 to 5. Live music is from noon to 7 p.m. each of those days. So you can visit both places. The Bayside Park is free. So please come down, enjoy yourselves, spend some time, ride the free tram. It will be running starting on Thursday, running from Bowditch Point to the library, and the trolley is also running. On fmbsandsculpting.com, we have a parking map. We have over 4,000 parking spots available up and down the island, and many of our commercial lots are pairing with our nonprofit partners to provide parking, and all of the money raised at those lots will go back to those nonprofits. A last minute shout out to the Fort Myers Beach Art Association, who is quickly putting together a plein air art exhibit at the event. So they will be painting throughout the event. They'll bring their stuff out. They'll set up somewhere in the event area and paint. So they'll be participating with this as well. Super exciting. Going to have a great 4 days down on the sand. We'll be doing our award ceremony at 3:00 on Sunday at the Diamond Head Beach Resort. There'll be all kinds of food. There'll be entertainment there. Plenty of beverages and delicious food and things to do and see. So make sure you come once, come twice, come back and see them finished. And it's pretty exciting. Do I have any questions from the council? I know we also have Wednesday night a Meet the Sculptors event at the Pink Shell Beach Resort. It is free, open to the public. You just need to register so we know how much food to make. And you get to come in. It's free hors d'oeuvres, and you get a drink ticket, and you get to get up close and meet the folks who create these master works of art out of sand.
Can you give the time for that? 6:30?
That is 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Again, it's free. Please come to the Pink Shell Beach Resort. Come meet these folks who are coming to our island to bring this special form of talent and artistry to us.
Jackie, if you haven't already, can you make sure that you share the parking and the trolley schedule,
Yeah.
the schedule with Nicole so we can get it on our?
I believe
Maybe
she
we'll-
has everything.
she
It's
has
also up on fmbsandsculpting.com.
Perfect.
But certainly I can share that again with her. Not a problem. There's a map, a Google Earth map with yellow push pins. By no means is that all of the parking. That's just the ones that I'm aware of at the time when I made the map. So there is more parking than that actually. So it is up and down the whole island. So please come. Enjoy the day, come early, grab some breakfast, come back and see us throughout the day. And you can tell Angie that she needs to wait for you to get back to her. Just kidding. Any other questions?
Jackie, I have a couple questions.
Go for it.
Jackie, so the Meet the Sand Sculptors is actually before the competition actually begins.
Correct.
The Wednesday, this coming Wednesday.
This Wednesday,
6:30 to 8:30 at the Pink Shell, open to the public.
open to the public.
They just need to reach out to the chamber to let them
Yep.
know that they're coming, so you have a head count.
Yep.
So you can have proper food and beverage.
Yep. If you Google Meet the Sand Sculptor Fort Myers Beach, it should pop up the thing where you can just register so we know you're coming and make sure we have enough food.
It says please RSVP to 239-457-7500. or
454.
events- Oh, 239-454-7500.
7,500. Yep.
And then
Or
or events at fmbchamber.com.
that will work too. Absolutely.
And it's my understanding that there's also live music at Bayside Park starting on the 21st from 4 to 7 with limited edition.
It's actually noon to 7.
Noon to 7.
Noon
okay.
to 3, we have one, a duo, and then 4 to 7 with the band.
And that's limited edition on the 21st. And on the 22nd is the Joe Yeoman Band,
Correct.
4 to 7. And it sounds like there'll be one before that.
Correct.
And then on the 23rd will be Guilty Pleasure. And on to the 24th will be Chasing Denver from 1 to 3. And on the 24th from 4 to 7, Rock Candy.
Yes. And if you haven't seen Rock Candy, that's a heck of a group. You got to come out and check that out. It's going to be great.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we look forward to having everybody there. Please come out and join us and enjoy the weekend with your families and friends.
All right. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Next is the local achievements and recognitions. Counselor Safford?
I'd like to give a shout out to Leadership Lee.
Jackie, you can't leave yet. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
I'd like to give a shout out to Leadership Lee. Their fundraiser raised $22,000 last week. We had over 100 people in attendance. The charity was the Homeless Coalition of Lee County, and it was a fantastic event. And I'm really proud to be actually a member of Leadership Lee, and it's just a great cause to try to prevent homelessness.
Great. Thank you. That's a big number.
Mhm.
Councilor Woodson,
I'm good.
Vice Mayor Hope.
Yes, I brought some props this morning. This is for the sandcastle competition. This is such an awesome event for Fort Myers Beach. I first came to town and I got shanghaied by Scott and Jackie to volunteer, and I was Scott's assistant. I was not the assistant parking lot monitor. I was assistant to the assistant parking lot monitor, who was Scott. He was a great mentor. But it's been such a great event, and so part of the competition is they have all kinds of classes, so you can see how these things are made. They're amazing works of art. They've got great teachers there. It's a great thing to bring your kids to, your grandkids to. And as Jackie said, don't just come once. It's only $5 to come. Come and watch the sculptures evolve throughout the competition, and you get to see all the action. There'll be pros, semi-pros, amateurs, the whole works. And sort of the concept though is that you can, and you, at least before they had this fella who it's called Can You Dig It? You can Google this on your phone, and they sell these packages on Amazon. They're tools and buckets and all kinds of things. But the concept is that you take your bucket and you turn it upside down. First of all, you kind of build a big mound of sand. This is for the amateurs out there. And you put water on it, you press it down, and then you take one of these buckets, and you can go to the hardware store and get the bigger ones and then cut out the bottom of one. But you need one without a bottom. And then you put it on top of your mound that you've built, and then you fill it with maybe half or a quarter full of sand, then pour a bunch of water on it to let it get soaked, then pour more sand on, pack. Then you kind of gently tap it on the side, then you lift it off. Then you've got this great sort of preformed structure of sand. And you use this bucket to pour the water and carry the. Again, you can get buckets at the hardware store. And while you're working on it, you need a mister. Oops, sorry, Joe. And so you want to keep your sand moist. And then then you have your own kind of tools from your own shed and so forth. But then you've got these things that you can order online. These are called shapers. And they're all different designs. You can see a professional sculptor, and you can literally make castles, and you can make windows and doors. And then you've got these things called a scooper, where you can really dig in. And again, the sand's completely wet and it's compact. And it's really awesome. You got all these kind of old, different kind of sculpture tools. It all comes with it. You get this video, how to build the perfect sandcastle. And one of the most important tools, and it's sort of bizarre when you think about it, but when you're making your lines on your castles, you can take a little pen or pencil. And then once you scratch the line, you take a straw and you just blow on it, and all the excess sand goes away without destroying the structure. And you'll see that professionals, they'll actually have professional straws, sort of like a necklace, holding their straw because they use it so much throughout the competition. And it's so cool. And you can get these little shapers if you want to make like a circular structure, if you're going to make a planet or a head or something like that. And it's so awesome to watch how all this is made. And the kids and the grandkids, they love this stuff, but it can come 2 or 3 times throughout the week, throughout the competition. It's really one of the best things we do on Fort Myers Beach. So kudos to the chamber for bringing this back again. We kind of got waylaid by thank you, John. Cool me down, Lee. The chamber has brought this back. It's a huge undertaking. I wanted to thank all the sponsors who've made this possible. I want to thank all the volunteers. Just this weekend, I saw the Beach Talk Radio got some volunteers to clean up the EBIC property. Thank you, EBIC, for allowing the Women's Club to use that as a fundraising opportunity. That's right next to Diamond Head, so the parking's very convenient. And I just can't tell you how cool this is. If a lot of the veterans on the islands are familiar with this, but for those who have not attended, make a day of it, or make a week of it. Get a hotel rooms, have dinner down on the island, have lunch, and just make an event around it. You've got all the music, you've got the vendors. It's really a festival atmosphere, and it's people are always saying, what's there to do on Fort Myers Beach? Well, these 4 days there's a lot to do, and it's a great experience. So I just wanted to commend all those involved and just encourage folks to come out and participate.
I guess the only question I have, Professor Adderholt, is will you be signing autographs at the meet and greet?
Well, it's interesting. Barbara Hill and I who is a professional artist, we're going to sign up for the amateur competition, but she's still not back on the island due to Hurricane Milton. So we're going to try next year, but I'll certainly be volunteering and working. And again, having gone from an assistant to the assistant parking lot attendant, I will be judging this year. So the American dream is still there for you. You just got to stay involved.
I'm still stuck as assistant parking lot guy.
Now that's really getting granular.
Ooh,
Oh,
nice.
Thank you. Well done.
Oh, well.
You
Counselor
know what?
King,
You didn't choose the overall pick on Amazon.
Go ahead, Karen. Please enlighten us.
No, there's like all kinds of extra pieces that you can get. Are you saying that you're so skilled that you don't need all these forms
No,
and shapes?
I think
Or
it's
what is that?
quite the contrary. I don't think I've quite reached that level where I need the advanced tools yet, but I'm working on it.
Okay, well, there's options. There's
When
all
you-
kind of options.
when you see the metal straw hanging from his neck, you know
Yeah,
he's made it.
yeah, the metal straw is the true test. Yeah.
All right. If you could top that, Counselor King, go for it.
Well, I won't try, but that's the passion I was talking about earlier. And can you dig it? I knew that you could.
Oh, God.
I'm good.
All right. I just want to take a second to thank Commissioner Sandelli. Today is his last day as a public servant for the county. So he was debating on whether or not he was actually going to go into the office on his last day. So I'm curious if he did tomorrow. We will be getting Mr. Malacca. David Malacca will be taking over for him to represent our area. So we're looking forward to working with him. But Ray, if you're listening, enjoy your retirement if you decide to retire. And with that, we'll move on to advisory committee items and reports and appointments. Do we have anything or anyone here that would like to speak from one of the committees? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion from Counselor King, seconded by Counselor Safford, and these are for the town council meeting from November 4th, 2024, and the management and planning session from November 7th, 2024. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Next is our consent agenda. There is only one item. Item B was removed. Item A is a resolution 24-254 FMB endorsement of the Bonita Estero Rail Trail. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move it.
A motion by Counselor King, seconded by Counselor Safford. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Next is our public hearings. First item is a motion of reconsideration for the Estero Island Beach Club Ordinance 24-28. This rehearing of an ordinance of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, denying a request to rezone property located at 1836 and 1840 Estero Boulevard, lest the area within the environmentally critical zoning district, generally identified as strap numbers 19-46-24-W4-03200.00CE and 19-46-24-W4-03200.1010 Fort Myers Beach from downtown district to commercial plan development. Approval of 5 deviations from the Fort Myers Beach Code of Ordinances, a schedule of uses, and a master concept plan, providing for other clarifications as necessary, providing for conflicts of law, Scrivener's errors, severability, and providing for an effective date.
So thank you, Mayor. This is a public hearing. However, there will be no testimony taken today. This is simply a request from the developer property owner for clarification regarding your denial from the prior meeting. And I believe their attorney is here, and I'll defer to her for the presentation.
Come on up.
Good morning, council members. For the record, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. For the record, Amy Dubois with Retzel. You may remember me from this hearing. Based on our understanding of the denial that we received, the real concern here was height. I don't think you guys really took issue with folks trying to build back the 75 units. And the way that your town code is written is that a denial defaults to a denial with prejudice. So for the next year, we would be barred from bringing back an application for this until mid-October 2025. and we just want to rebuild. Nobody came into this project thinking that they wanted a 10-story structure. It just sort of evolved there as we went through the review process. And to jog your memory a little bit, they originally tried to build back under the post-disaster build back ordinance, but could not because the number of new regulations that applied, like the accessibility code and the EC zoning district and the CCCL and all of that, really made it impossible for us to build back within that ordinance. So then they came in with the rezoning, and we've revised our site plan a few times. We still really want to build back. We're not going to come back to you with 10 stories. So we're here in front of you today to ask for a solution that would allow us to come back and reapply prior to October 2025. But the nice thing about this is you guys also, either with a continuance or a denial without prejudice, either of which would accomplish allowing us to come back and reapply, again, before October 2025. You can also give us instructions with either of those options. So if there's something in particular that you feel we should be doing with our site plan as we go back to revise it, you can also give us instructions here today and we can incorporate those.
So I would just say for the record that your denial stands. It's just clarifying today whether or not it's with prejudice or with not. Without prejudice will allow them to come back sooner and build back as she's indicated. And she's just looking for any feedback that you can give her when her client reapplies.
And Nancy, does it matter to you legally if it's denial without prejudice or continuous? Does it make any legal difference?
It does. My preference would be that we stay with the denial.
Okay.
Just because, again, members of the public are not here. You're not taking testimony on this matter. A continuance then would somewhat revise that denial, change that denial, but it is a denial.
Okay. And we're not taking testimony. Does that mean we also are not taking public comment?
You don't have to take public comment. However, if there is someone in the public that's dying to make a comment, that's discretionary on your part.
Okay. Does I guess can we ask the applicant if they?
We don't object. If the public would like to speak, again, we're not trying to change the merits of your decision. We are just, it's more of a procedural issue. So if anybody would like to make a comment on that, we can certainly accommodate them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we do that first and then we'll come back to, you
Certainly.
okay with that? Is everyone okay with, if anybody wants to speak in public comment? Sure.
I don't have any.
Karen, you have any issues with?
No.
Counselor King?
I'm okay.
Okay. Is there anyone here in public comment that would like to say anything regarding this, it's not a rehearing, it's a motion. Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Come on back up. You got some more you'd like to add?
I will make a quick note that we are perfectly pleased with the denial without prejudice. For us, a continuance we think might be beneficial. One, we wouldn't have to pay the application fee again, but two, it would keep all of the documents in the same folder. Now, that being said, if we have a procedural due process issue here today, I certainly don't want to jeopardize anything we do that we've done or that we will do going forward.
I just think that for the record, so we can close the book on this application, and then they basically are going back to the drawing board and starting anew, and then your record is clear.
Okay. Counselor Safford, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I want them to build back. And if doing this speeds up the process, then I'm all for it.
Okay. Counselor Woodson,
I couldn't agree more. So
Vice Mayor Holt,
I agree with the comments that have been stated so far.
Counselor King.
Nothing else to add.
I agree. I would even go maybe one step further based on what you said as far as you guys have been through a process. Let's just put it that way. And I would be open to, can we do this, but also not make them have to repay for something that they've gone through a couple of times? I mean, if that's a concern of theirs, I'm open to at least a discussion, but I don't know how much more time would go into having to review what they submit. I'm open to the discussion. I guess I would just put it out, if we can legally do it.
I don't know what your rule says right off the bat. As far as waiving fees, generally you have discretion, but I don't know if you have a specific provision in your code and a process to follow.
well,
I just don't know. But what is the fee?
All in, I believe we've already paid close to $11,000 to the town between the $9,000 application fee, cost of advertising, some additional engineering review fees that were due, things like that.
So what we could do is we can look into it, and then once the item comes to council for review, at that point, a request could be made to reimburse or refund the fee, and we'll have an answer for you then.
Because we'd still have to do the notification, the advertisement thing. So it would strictly be
Correct.
our permitting fees,
No application fee.
or application fee.
We can bring it back to you as an action item, and
Okay.
making that distinction, it's a point well taken as far as the advertising costs
Of course.
associated with that.
Mhm.
And I'm sure your code provides for advertising costs the way most codes do, where we pay advertising regardless. So
Is everybody okay with that direction?
Yes.
All right, then you just need a motion from us to, is there a motion to deny without prejudice for the EIBC CPD Master Concept Plan request?
So moved.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Counselor Safford, seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
Counselor King?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously.
thank you so much. We
Good
really
luck.
appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing you guys again.
We're looking forward to it too. Thank you.
All right, next is item B. It is, do you want me to read this? Okay, I figured we did. This is the second reading of proposed ordinance 24-34 entitled an ordinance of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, approving a home rule development agreement for property located at 3001 Estero Boulevard, 2943 Estero Boulevard, 2932 Estero Boulevard, 211 Denora Boulevard, Fort Myers Beach, Florida, strap numbers 29-46-24-W1-00145.1000, 29-24 or 46-24-W1-00145.5000, 30-46-24-W2-00001.0000, 29-46-24-W1-012-0A.0010, and owned by Seagate Fort Myers Beach LLC, as authorized by Section 2-100 of the Town's Land Development Code, and in compliance with the procedures for applications and approval of development agreements with the deviations set forth in Resolution Number 24-73 for the purpose of redevelopment of the property previously known as the Red Coconut RV Park, providing for terms and conditions, including but not limited to the identification of the proposed use of the property, a finding of consistency with the Town of Fort Myers Beach Comprehensive Plan, commitments and development obligations, deviations needed for the development, providing for other clarifications as necessary, providing for conflicts of law, scrivener's errors, severability, and providing for an effective date.
So procedurally, this item is before you today on a second reading. And generally during second readings of an ordinance, you have the authorization to adopt or deny the ordinance. However, Friday was it? In the recent past, we did receive a request from the developer owner to continue this item to December the 16th, which would be your date certain. And that they also have indicated they would like to have an additional public hearing before you on December the 2nd. We have read the title at this hearing. The concern was that perhaps there may be someone here from the public that wanted to put some comments on the record. However, the request is to not really deliberate. I don't know if the property owner developer is present today, but it is a request to continue.
Okay. Do you want to say anything, Tim? Or no?
public comment?
Come on up, Tim.
I'd be glad to address the issue, but otherwise,
Nothing.
nothing more than Nancy.
Okay. And then Nancy,
Is there anyone here from the public that
Okay.
may have traveled to make comments?
is there anyone in the audience that traveled? Yes, sir.
You
Come
need
on up.
to
You gotta
come
come
to
up to the mic,
microphone.
sir.
And can we just swear him in? And
Sure.
then his comments would be part of your record. And the applicant is here to hear it as well.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
My concern is,
Could you tell us your name, sir? Just so.
I'm Ed Zingle. I reside on Lovers Lane, which backs up to Coconut Park. My concern is the stormwater runoff. Are they going to have proper drainage? Or because I don't want to see that draining on to the outer streets, not even my street, but the street on the south side of it. That's my concern, really, that I don't get flooded out.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll comment on
That's
that
all.
one.
Okay.
Or if Tim wants to comment, but.
All right.
Thanks. Tim. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during public comment? Yeah, come on up. You probably have to be sworn in too.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Mayor, congratulations. Council members, congratulations. I'm Terry Kane, long-term resident on Fort Myers Beach. You've seen me before. I want to talk about the future that you're going to have to be making decisions on, and this is a big one. And the one that just spoke, the lawyer who just spoke too. When you took the job to represent the town of Fort Myers Beach, you had resources to help guide you. Those resources were created 25 years ago, and it was an award-winning comprehensive plan. You're going to hear me say this over and over and over again. It's a great blueprint to go by. And it was hard 25 years ago when we created it because you had to think of what the future was going to be in 25 years. 25 years ago, you're thinking, what's this place going to look like? Well, 25 years is here. And now we have to decide on what our island is going to look like. We knew 25 years ago there were going to be changes. We had old buildings. We had a few open vacancy lots, not like we have today. And this change came all upon us in one day. 25 years ago, we had decided as a community that we wanted to look more like our sister islands of Sanibel and Boca Grande. We didn't want to be Fort Lauderdale. We didn't want to be Miami. So I know the decisions you have to make are hard because I've sat over there. So get rid of all the noise that I've told you before. Profit margins are not your business. We're not supposed to know what anybody's going to make. Everybody makes investments. Sometimes we make good ones. Sometimes we don't. Public benefits come and go. They are vague and they change in a few years. Do consider the impacts to the community. Traffic, holding stormwater on site, water use, potable and wastewater. Do consider the density and the heights. You've got a great blueprint to go by. Good solid designs that fit this community are what should be coming to you to make decisions. Listen to the staff, listen to the LPA. I have to write this down or I'll ramble. I'll be up here for a half an hour. When plans are being reviewed, I hope they have the respect to our community to come in with something that will fit in our community. What you decide, well, we will have to live with for the next 25 years. So take a breath, think about what this little 7-mile island stretch of sand is going to look like in 25 years. Is it going to be Fort Myers Beach? Is it going to be Boca Grande like, or is it going to be Fort Lauderdale? So thank you for your time and consideration. I know your job is hard and I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Howie, does that mean you would like to speak? No. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Tim, did you want to come up and address, or would you like me to take a stab at his concern with what you're going to have to go through, whether this gets approved or not with Swift Mud and all those things? Or yeah, come on up. I'd rather he hear it from you than from me. So long way of saying you have many more steps to go, even if it was approved, to be able to get the approval to get the land development. order.
Correct, but specifically addressing his, I mean,
Right.
they, you know, the South Florida Water Management would not allow any of the drainage to be transferred off the property.
Hopefully that answers your question, Ed. Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, is there a motion to continue the second reading to December 16th at 9 a.m.? Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, just,
Yes.
just a quick question. It's really more of a parliamentary inquiry of sorts. Nancy, we're basically adding 2 additional hearings on December 2nd and December 16th. Is that a fair characterization?
We're having one additional hearing on the 2nd, on December the 2nd, and this hearing is being continued. So there are, in essence, 2 more times that you'll review this item.
So that would be on the 2nd and the 16th?
Yes.
And just for the record, the first reading hearing that occurred in October, that record is still established. These 2 additional hearings do not replace or supplant that original first reading hearing that we had, correct?
That is correct. The additional hearing will be an additional, more information.
Thank
So we're just doing more discussion, deliberation. There will be an advertisement of the December 2nd as well as the December 16th public hearings.
Very good. Thank you very much. That's all I've got, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any other questions for Nancy? Is there a motion to approve the continuance to December 16th at 9 a.m.?
So moved.
Motion by Counselor Woodson,
I'll second.
seconded by Counselor King. Any further discussion? Counselor Woodson,
Aye.
Counselor King,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderholt.
Aye.
Counselor Safford.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously.
Do we need a motion for the additional meeting?
We don't need a motion. Okay. Next is item C. This is the second reading and final public hearing on proposed ordinance entitled An Ordinance of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending 1 Division 3 Unsafe Building Abatement Code of Article 1, Property Maintenance Codes, and 2 Division 2 Lee County's Boards of Adjustment and Appeals of Article 2 Building Codes of Chapter 6, Maintenance Codes, Building Codes, and Coastal Regulations of the Land Development Code of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, to amend existing provisions related to appeals of the building officials' decisions, divesting the Lee County Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals of the responsibility for review of appeals of the town building officials' decisions, including but not limited to the determination of an unsafe building, authorizing the town of Fort Myers Beach special magistrates to hear appeals of the town's building officials' decisions, providing for codification, severability, scrivener's errors, conflicts of law, and an effective date. Nancy?
Thank you. This is the second reading of this ordinance, which has been before you several times. Basically, we are trying to establish your appeal process for decisions by your building official. The way that your code was originally drafted was to vest the Lee County Board of Appeals, or Lee County Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals with the authority to hear any appeal that is presented. However, back in 2017, the interlocal agreement with the county had expired. I think there was a gentleman's agreement that any appeals that came up would still be heard by Lee County. From 2017 to date, well, shouldn't say to date because we do have a couple appeals that have come up now, but for a long period of time, there was never any appeals filed. So it kind of lay dormant as something to be addressed, but never really got addressed. So this ordinance would now establish the procedure vesting your special magistrates, which are a local attorney, as well as the hearing examiners with the Florida Department of Administrative Hearings, who serve as your special magistrates to hear any decisions regarding unsafe buildings that the building official makes, as well as any other decisions that the building official makes. This does not deny the opportunity for someone to voice an appeal. However, there is a legal issue concerning standing that may not give them, they may, pay the appeal fee, but then ultimately not have standing and not be able to pursue any type of appeal.
Questions for Nancy? Counselor King?
None.
Vice Mayor Dole? No. Counselor Wilson?
No, I'm good.
Counselor Stafford?
I'm good.
The only question I have is the decision that was brought up at the first hearing to go away from the Lee counties and use either, what I'm guessing is going to be probably DOA, or what was the reasoning and the decision making behind doing that?
Just the fact that we don't have an appeal process in place. And that is part of entitlements that people have to due process to have their appeal heard. We don't have a mechanism to hear those appeals.
No, I guess my question is more specific to why are we not using the Lee County Board of Adjustment and Appeals anymore?
We don't have an interlocal agreement established with them. I know that the town manager has recently, more than once, reached out to Lee County to try to establish that relationship and negotiate a interlocal agreement. That just hasn't come to fruition. Okay. It's not to say that, again, I'm a little anxious to have this ordinance passed because I do want to offer an appeal mechanism to property owners. It's not to say that in the future, at some point, should there be an interlocal agreement with Lee County, you could come back and amend your ordinance.
Okay. Andy, do you want
When I discussed with the county mayor, county manager, we talked about the cost that was associated with it. And in my opinion, it felt like it would be better not to burden our residents with a fee that was exorbitant, $1,000. I realize sometimes that's not a lot of money, but sometimes it is. Also, we're going to bring it back. We're discussing it with them now, option of going with them as well. So it could also, if the attorney, if we think this is favorable, we could give them an option. If they want to stay local or they want to go with somebody independent who's not local associated with our building official. It's kind of birds of a feather flock together. Sometimes they understand each other's work, and it's like it was more of an independent reviewer instead of a local review.
Okay. Public comment. Leah?
Good morning. Leah Gregg, Fort Myers Beach resident, and thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for your comments, Nancy. So the new ordinance 2430, if it's passed as is, it will replace the ordinance we had that allowed anyone whose property is adversely affected by the building official's decision to appeal his decision through the Lee County Board of Adjustment and Appeals, a 13-member board appointed by the Lee County Commission who investigates appeals. So I had a meeting with the mayor and the town manager and a few others and informed them that my property is getting unnecessarily flooded due to improper drainage in a neighboring lot that was raised 3 feet. The town received a 2-page detailed assessment of the drainage issues from an engineer stating the conveyance and storage calculations on the originally approved plans are riddled with errors, inconsistencies, and ambiguities, resulting in deficient on-site water storage volume and does not demonstrate code compliance. And the list continues. So the building official claimed the drainage was done right. And if I disagreed, I could appeal his decision with Lee County Board of Appeals. And the mayor was kind enough to allow me to record this meeting that we had. And I just for the record, I just want to play a couple of those recordings on what was shared with me.
The provision that's been given to you by the law, local ordinance, building code, you can go to the local Board of Appeals and appeal that decision. And that's the right way to do this.
And then this was just
He's telling us that this meets the Florida Building Code. And you're not happy with it, then you have an avenue to be able to appeal his decision.
And then just one more.
That's why the Board of Local Appeals was designed. Okay. So that good citizens can go to them and appeal decisions. And if you win your appeal, then we have to live with that. When you and I first met, I told you that I was faced with closing this permit. And after I went through everything, I found out how sloppy it is. So I tried my best to be creative to find a way to close this permit.
So I mean, I don't think none of us want our building official to be creative in closing permits. I think we want our building official and all of our county officials here to just, make sure that they adhere to all codes, ordinances, and anything else that we have to within our jurisdiction. So to go back to Andy's point real quick, he said that, only the homeowner were the code violation or whatever it is. If they didn't agree with the building official, only that person could file an appeal. And I confirm with Lee County, and their building official did say that anyone who feels they have been adversely affected by a decision made of an official, regardless if they were or were not the property owner, has the right to appeal that decision. So I just hope you take that into consideration. Thanks.
Thank you, Leah. Anyone else care to speak in public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Is there any further discussion or a motion? No further discussion. Is there a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance? I don't have the ordinance in front of me. Sorry.
Ordinance 24-30 and safe building code appeals. I'll move that.
Got a motion by Counselor King. I'll second. Any further discussion? Counselor King?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Vice Mayor Rowe?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Next is our administrative agenda. The first one is a resolution of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending section 5 of resolution 24-182 as amended by resolution 24-178 to include certification of the vote by the town council before a vote to appoint members to the town's advisory boards, committees, agencies, and commissions, and providing for an effective date.
So, Mayor, if you can just give me a moment, I'd
Yes.
like to pull that up. But basically, this resolution is before you today to give a little bit more clarification of our process for the appointment of members of the public to your committees.
Page 230.
Thank you.
I think that's what you're looking at.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And again, the policy consideration for having this change into your existing process is basically to provide more transparency. And what this process does is that now you would make your selection on a ballot, marking no more than the total number of seats that are available for that ballot. And then you would announce your vote on that ballot. We want to make sure that the public is aware of what your vote is as we go through that process. Currently, as it's written, your resolution says that you would be making your announcement. The other option is for the clerk to also make the announcement if you want to make that change. Once the announcements are made of how you're voting, then there'll be a tally, and the number of votes for each person would be visible. We hope to have it projected on your TV screen. So there's no possibility, hopefully no possibility of any just sheer mathematical errors. And then we would ask that you certify that that number is indeed correct. And then at that point, you would take a motion to vote, to appoint those individuals who have received the highest number of votes. So that's just a little bit more formality to your process. And again, it really promotes the policy of transparency. There's no calculating behind any screens where nobody could possibly see. There's no extra votes being added to the mix. It's very, very transparent. So we felt that a change to this process, I think, is in everyone's best interest.
Okay, so essentially all you're looking for is whether or not we want to have the town clerk essentially reread what we're already going to read or in addition to what we're already going to read from our voting?
Yes, you have ballots. We'll be going through the process for all the committees that you appointed, just again, for transparency, clarity of the record. You can make your announcement of how you vote, or the clerk can read from the ballot how you voted, and it would be projected on the screen as well. And then through the certification process, if there was we couldn't hear because of the mic. I mean, we actually had that situation in an LPA meeting where there was a vote was given. Was it a yay or was it a nay? It was really difficult to see or hear. And I think that the video was not working at the same time. So the certification is really going to show that this is how you voted.
Vice Mayor?
I think, Mr. Mayor, I think it would probably, for both efficiency purposes and optics purposes, it'd probably be easiest to have the clerk just call the roll on those.
I have no objection to that. Councilor Savard, Councilor King?
It's good.
Okay.
Okay, we'll make that change, and then we're going to go into the next part of your meeting and see how this works.
Okay.
If you approve it.
So is there a motion to approve resolution number 24-246
With the noted change.
with the noted change by the Vice Mayor?
So
So-
moved.
I'll
Yeah.
second.
Okay, motion by Councilor King, seconded by Councilor Woodson. Any further discussion? You want a roll call vote? Okay, Councilor King,
Aye.
Councilor Woodson,
Aye.
Councilor Safford.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderholt.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously. Next is the Public Safety Committee. There's an appointment of a new member.
How about
Anchorage.
Anchorage?
First.
Oh, did
Number
I miss
one.
it?
Yeah, and Mayor, I'm supposed to tell you to flip the script.
Flip the script. Where are we at? Okay. I don't have that on mine. I must have missed it. So maybe I don't have the utmost
You have the
updated one.
paper one?
I don't have the paper one. I've got just the online one. Can you hand me that? Okay, I'll make sure.
They're at the bottom of page 3.
I must have missed it. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Yes, the first is Anchorage Advisory Committee. My script. We will now vote on the appointments to the Anchorage Advisory Committee. The clerk has distributed the ballots. The votes and announcement. Do you want me to read the town council part of it?
Not yet.
Okay.
You all need to
So
do
we got to
your
make
vote.
our votes. Got it.
Yeah, take your
Okay.
vote on the Anchorage Advisory Committee. And then we will collect the ballots.
This is the
And
mayor. This is the mayor one.
Yeah, mine's still sitting on the desk.
And if I could, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
and Town Attorney, for transparency purposes, I do think it would be helpful for the public to know that when there's 5 candidates for 5 spots, I think it'd be helpful for you to announce that, so people know that there's not a competitive dynamic there.
Yes, we can do that. Okay, so I have 5 ballots. I'm giving them to the clerk, and she's going to announce the council member and their votes. And hopefully it'll appear on the screen as she announces it.
And okay, I can do that. And just so the public also knows, Jim Hockett's application is in the agenda packet, but back on October 14th, he pulled his application from the running, so he will not be voted on today by anybody. Ready? Okay. So this is Karen Woodson's ballot. She voted.
Again, Amy, just preface it by saying how many spots there are and how many
There are
candidates.
5 vacancies on the current committee for Anchorage Advisory, and there are 5 applicants.
Perfect, thank you.
Karen voted for Theodore Lawwell, Sam Lurie, John Wesley Nash, Jennifer Rusk, and Rebecca Weber. Jennifer will need a waiver too, possibly. Next one is Scott Safford. He voted for Theodore Lawwell, Sam Lurie, John Wesley Nash, Jennifer Rusk, and Rebecca Weber. Dan Allers, Theodore Lawwell, Sam Lurie, John Wesley Nash, Jennifer Rusk, Rebecca Weber. Jim Adderholt, Theodore Lawwill, Sam Lurie, John Wesley Nash, Jennifer Rusk, and Rebecca Weber. And John King, Theodore Lawwill, Sam Lurie, John Wesley Nash, Jennifer Rusk, and Rebecca Weber.
So as you'll note on the screen, the number of votes has been tallied as the X's appeared under each name. And so, Amy, do you want to announce
Sure.
the individuals who,
So the individual applicants that will now serve on the Anchorage.
how many votes each one got?
Oh, each, okay, so Theodore Lawwill received a total of 5 votes. Sam Lurie received a total of 5 votes. John Wesley Nash received a total of 5 votes. Jennifer Rusk received a total of 5 votes. And Rebecca Weber received a total of 5 votes.
And there are 5 seats available. So basically, they're all going to be admitted or eligible for appointment. So if that is your desire to go ahead and appoint these 5 individuals to the 5 open seats, a motion certifying that these numbers are correct and that is your desire to appoint. And then we'll have one item after.
The MRF committee? That's where
Do
the.
you want me to just keep track?
conflict
Yeah,
of interest-
we'll keep track of it then. Okay. All right, so we're ready for the next one.
Okay, next
Amy?
is the audit committee. Do you want me to help speed it up? Do you want me to read in that there's how many seats and how many people for it? Would that be easier? Okay. For the audit committee, there are 4 open seats and 4 people that have applied. Yeah.
So you're going to announce and read in.
Yeah. Well, that's what the question I heard that. Yeah.
Ready? Okay, for audit committee, we, like the mayor said, we have 4 vacancies and we have 4 applicants. Scott Safford his ballot is for Debbie Dutton, Jack Leeson, David Sandberg, and Brian Thomas. Karen Woodson, Debbie Dutton, Jack Leeson, David Sandberg, Brian Thomas. Dan Allers, Debbie Dutton, Jack Leeson, David Sandberg, and Brian Thomas. John King, Debbie Dutton, Jack Leeson, David Sandberg, and Brian Thomas. And Jim Adderholt is Debbie Dutton, Jack Leeson, David Sandberg, and Brian Thomas.
So read the names and the numbers.
So Debbie Dutton received a total of 5 votes. Jack Leeson received a total of 5 votes. David Sandberg received a total of 5 votes. And Brian Thomas received a total of 5 votes.
So the next step would be a motion to certify the accuracy of the results, that is in fact how you voted, and to appoint these individuals to the committee.
I will make a motion to approve the accuracy of the vote for the audit committee and appoint those selected.
I'll second.
A motion by Mayor Aller, seconded by Councilor Safford. Any further discussion? I am an aye. Councilor Safford?
Aye.
Councilor Woodson? Smith,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderholt,
Aye.
and Counselor King.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Dan Allers is John Deuce Larry, Ed Schoonover, and Betty Simpson. Jim Adderholt, John Deuce Larry, Ed Schoonover, and Betty Simpson. And John King is John Deuce Larry, Ed Schoonover, and Betty Simpson.
So the top 3 votes.
So if I could see that.
Hmm.
Betty Simpson received a total of 5 votes. Ed Schoonover received a total of 4 votes. Don Fleming received 1 vote. John Deuce Larry received 4 votes. And Michelle Cherney received 1 vote.
Okay, so I believe your rules say that in the event of a tie, anyone who is receiving more 1 vote would be eligible for a revote.
So your tie is between John Deuce Larry and Ed Schoonover.
And the other individuals also received a vote. So you would have a second vote on everyone except for Betty Simpson.
Nancy, I thought it read that if there was a tie but not a majority. In this case, there's clearly a majority over a tie.
Let's see.
But I could be mistaken. Otherwise, I mean, this could go on all day.
This is exactly what I said.
If there is a
last
tie
time.
for any number of seats still left open, there will be a runoff consisting of the remainder of candidates who were not otherwise. Right, but Betty's already in.
We're writing in a name.
I think so.
Yeah, I think the best would be to write their name.
You need me to write the name?
Yes, please.
I think it's clear. She's gonna announce, and then if it's not clear, you'll say, that's not what I voted.
You want to use here?
I have more ballots, but
Yeah, I misunderstood. I thought it was just those that weren't a majority would be revoted on. I thought that's what we had agreed upon. But
Yeah, that's why I thought because we had discussed this in our last meeting, and I brought up the point that this is what could happen.
Okay,
And I don't think any of us wanted this to happen.
well,
well, we're here now, so. let's get
yeah,
through it.
so we'll
address
move
it.
forward and then we'll
We
make
got
that
a year to.
change.
We got a year to.
Yeah,
correct.
we can bring it back and put it on consent at your next.
Madam Clerk.
ready? Okay, Karen Woodson voted Michelle Cherney and Dawn Fleming. John King voted John Deuce Larry and Ed Schoonover. Dan Allers, John Deuce Larry, and Ed Schoonover. Scott Safford, John Deuce Larry, and Ed Schoonover. And Jim Adderholt is John Deuce Larry and Ed Schoonover. So Michelle Cherney received 1 vote. John Deuce Larry received 4 votes. Don Fleming received 1 vote, and Ed Schoonover received 4 votes.
So we appears to
I
be
mean,
in a
this is
conundrum.
gonna be crazy. We, so we could be here all day unless someone changes their mind.
Yeah.
And I don't have any more ballots for this one, so.
Well, this is not.
So we'll do it a third time. I mean, this is what we
Just
approved.
turn it over and
Mayor,
again.
can a motion be
Made just to vote on the third place finishers?
I don't know.
I think if someone changes their vote, that would work.
It went.
Is the suggestion that the town manager made, if for some reason it's,
We could delay
Oh.
the selection and wait.
Well, I just, a parliamentary inquiry, in fairness to one of our council members who has a different perspective on this, I don't know that she should have to change her vote. If we can make a motion for the two highest vote getters to be successful, and we have a second, and then we have a recorded vote affirming that, is that not sufficient, Nancy?
I think that you would,
I mean, I sort of did that in the mayor thing, even though it wasn't necessary, just to expedite.
I think what you could do is override your rules. You have procedural rules. Do you want to override them?
well, let's see what happens, then we'll cross that.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge.
All right, I'm missing two. And the other option, as I was mentioning, was you could defer your vote on this particular committee selection and then bring it back at the next meeting.
Okay, what do you got? Madam Clerk?
Ready? Third vote for Bay Oaks Recreational Campus Advisory Board, Jim Adderholt, John Duslary, and Ed Schoonover. John King is John Duslary and Ed Schoonover. Scott Safford is John Duslary and Ed Schoonover. Dan Allers is John Duslary and Ed Schoonover. This is your third over here, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and Karen is Michelle Cherney and Don Fleming.
Okay. So is there a motion? How do you want me to word this? I'll make the motion.
So you are going to waive your rules and make an appointment of,
Okay, well, I'll preface my motion by saying in the future, we are going to be amending what we just adopted, it
Mhm.
sounds like. On the direction of council to meet up with what this motion will say.
Mhm.
I make a motion to accept to go outside of the rules that we have just put in place and accept the two top vote getters for for 4 open seats. Barbara Hill and Betty Simpson have an asterisk, meaning that they would need a waiver to be able to fulfill the seats.
Correct.
Okay, everyone has voted.
Get your steps in today.
It's Nancy. Fantasy Day Part 2.
Okay, Scott Safford, for the 4 vacancies on cell cab, voted for Carrie Henderson, Barbara Hill, Betty Simpson, and Cheryl Smith. Karen Woodson voted for Carrie Henderson, Barbara Hill, Betty Simpson, Cheryl Smith. Dan Allers, Carrie Henderson, Barbara Hill, Betty Simpson, and Cheryl Smith. Jim Adderholt, Carrie Henderson, Barbara Hill, Betty Simpson, and Cheryl Smith. And John King, Carrie Henderson, Barbara Hill, Betty Simpson, and Cheryl Smith. So Carrie Henderson received a total of 5 votes, Barbara Hill 5 votes, Betty Simpson 5 votes, and Cheryl Smith 5 votes.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to affirm the election of the 4 candidates for CellCap
I will second.
And appoint.
and appoint.
All right, I will amend my second. Any further discussion? Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Councilor Woodson?
Aye.
Councilor Safford?
Aye.
Councilor King?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next is the Marine and Environmental Resources Task Force, MRF. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 applicants, with 2 that removed. Steve Johnson and Thomas Torgerson removed their applications. So there are 10 applicants and 5 available seats.
May I ask a question, Mayor?
Yes.
Just for clarification, you do not need to be a resident on these committees. The only 2 are the audit and the
And
LPA.
LPA,
Okay.
correct, because it was discussed numerous times that it would be a very broad pool that of individuals who could qualify to serve on a committee.
I thought we narrowed it down to voter, property owner, or a 33931 zip code resident.
I think you also included someone who had an interest in the property in the town of what they were doing,
Experience.
someone who worked perhaps on the island.
He was a property owner.
But I thought the preference was given to, or is that, that's the way it used to be anyway. So is that not the way it is anymore?
You all changed that to
Okay.
broaden it. I think the example of the professor from FGU, someone who works on the island, was also eligible to serve.
I'm sorry, I'm not clear on that.
Okay. Let's go back. Do you have the eligibility?
Working on it.
So that was by ordinance. Oh, no, it was by rule. Should we just move on to the next committee while we look that up?
Sure.
We sure can.
Well, next committee has some ready.
Same thing.
Same thing.
So perhaps a short break?
All right, we will take a 10-minute break, come back at 10:35.
That's too.
Good. All right, we will call the meeting back to order. It is 10:37. Nancy?
Okay, so we are currently on appointments to the MRF, Marine and Environmental Resources Task Force. And the question was raised as to what the qualifications are for individuals to serve on this committee as well as other committees. So you've been provided with a copy of your ordinance 24-17, which was adopted by you on October the 28th of this year. And there were some changes made to the qualifications and the appointment of members. And it's a little bit long, but I'll try to shorten it as much as I can. So the qualifications, which may be specified by membership in perhaps state statutes, the charter, ordinance, whatever, shall give preference to a registered voter within the town's jurisdiction, 1, a property owner within the town's jurisdiction, 2, individuals with specialized experience or knowledge, 3, individuals who have shown interest in the subject matter, or individuals who have a Fort Myers Beach postal code. So if anyone falls within those categories, then you would give preference to them.
So technically, we could have somebody from Tallahassee on a committee, which I didn't think was what we were shooting for, but that's just me.
Technically, yes. I hate to say that, but the example I believe that was
They don't
given
even have to reside in this state.
was the FGU professor who might fall into someone with specialized experience or knowledge. So there was an attempt or a discussion to broaden it.
I don't remember a discussion about an FGU or even an FGCU professor, but
Oh, if I got it wrong, sorry.
Well, I think it's pretty clear we should revisit this before this comes up again next year. To
Okay.
take another swipe at it, so we make sure that we're not making the process worse. At least my opinion.
I would agree.
Okay. So,
So does that answer the question that was raised?
yep, do you want me to restate what I read before the break?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So we are voting for the Marine Environmental and Resources Task Force. There are now 10 applicants for 5 open seats. Steve Johnson pulled his application on 10/21 of 24, and Thomas Torgerson pulled his application on 11/18 of 2024. So with that, vote for 5 of the 10 members. Applicants, sorry.
Extended play.
Ready?
Ready when you are.
Okay, Scott Safford.
How
He-
many seats are open?
There are 5 seats open, 10 applicants. Scott Safford's vote is for Sharon Hegstrom, Ed Rude, Leo Sand, Robert Howell, and Jennifer Rusk. Karen Woodson, Sharon Hegstrom, Edward Rude, Leo Sand, Robert Howell, and Jennifer Rusk. Dan Allers is for Sharon Hegstrom, David Patton, Edward Rude, Leo Sand, and Jennifer Rusk. Jim Adderholt is Sharon Hegstrom, David Patton, Edward Rude, Leo Sand, and Jennifer Rusk. And John King is Sharon Hegstrom, Edward Rude, Leo Sand, Maureen Cosico, and James Onoda. Okay, so Sharon Hagstrom received a total of 5 votes. Robert Howell received 2 votes. Maureen Casisco received 1 vote. James Anoda received 1 vote. David Patton received 2 votes. Rude received 5 votes. Jennifer Rusk received 4 votes. And Leo Sand received 5 votes.
So the top 5.
So the top 5 look like they would be Edward Rude, Leo Sand, Jennifer Rusk. I can't see that far. Sharon Hagstrom, sorry. And then there's a tie between James Anoda and Robert Howell. Are you catching that correctly?
Okay, so your rules then would allow you to perhaps take a motion.
Yeah, Robert Howell and David Patton are the 2 ties.
Sorry, like I said.
Well, there's 2 ties technically.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Howell and
David Patton.
yeah, and then Maureen and James.
Okay, so everyone that received votes in advance of the tie votes, if that is correct, you could have a motion to certify the accuracy of that result and appoint those individuals, and then we'll have a second vote on the remaining open seats.
Is silence.
So you want to certify the
Yeah.
3-5 votes is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. I will make a motion to certify Sharon Hagstrom, Leo Sand, and Ed Rude as the
Jennifer Rusk.
and Jennifer Rusk as the 4 top vote getters, and we will
Vote to appoint as
and
well.
we'll vote to appoint those 4 members. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion by Mayor Aller, seconded by Councilor Woodson. Any further discussion? I'm an aye. Councilor Woodson?
Aye.
Councilor Safford? Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
And Councilor King?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Now
Okay.
we'll revote on the
The
4,
one last seat.
the last seat of the ones that received a vote
Correct.
for the one last seat. Okay.
So we're just voting for 1.
Just voting for 1
Just voting for 1.
out of Robert Howell, Maureen Casisco, James Anoda, and David Patton. Sorry, that's like out of my view.
Okay. At least some.
Ready?
Ready.
Okay, John King has voted Robert Howell. Jim Adderholt, David Patton. Karen Woodson, Robert Howell. Scott Safford, Robert Howell. And unsigned, so I assume it's
sorry, I
you,
forgot
Dan, is David Patton. So it looks like Robert Howell's received 3 votes and David Patton has received 2.
Okay.
I'll move to accept and appoint Robert Howell to the MERC committee.
So verifying that the numbers are correct and that that is the selection for the appointment.
Yes.
Okay. A motion by Councilor King.
Second.
Second by Councilor Safford. Any further discussion? Councilor King.
Aye.
Councilor Safford.
Aye.
Councilor Woodson.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderholt.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously. Okay, Public Safety Committee. There are 3 open seats and 2 applicants, with Cynthia Johnson pulling her application on 10/3 of 24. So vote for the 2 of the 3. signed it this time.
Okay, public safety has three vacancies, and we had a total of 2 applicants that were still in the running. First up is Scott Safford. He voted for Todd Capella and is it Kieran Farrell. Karen Woodson is Todd Capella and Kieran Farrell. Dan Allers, Todd Capella, and Kieran Farrell. A moment, we're having a little bit of difficulties up there.
Got one of those Dominion.
Yeah, probably. Ready? Okay. Jim Adderholt, Todd Capella, and Kieran Farrell. And John King, Todd Capella, Kieran Farrell. Who am I missing?
You read it, they just didn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dan
got
Allers.
it. Dan voted for Todd and Kieran also. Okay, so Todd Capella received a total of 5 votes and Kieran Farrell received a total of 5 votes.
I will make a motion to approve the certified results to appoint Todd Capella and Kieran Farrell to the Public Safety Committee.
Second.
Had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'm an aye. Council Woodson?
Aye.
Councilor Safford?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderall? Aye. Councilor King?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously.
So Mayor Allers, it looks like Jennifer Rusk, Betty Simpson, Barbara Hill will all need waivers.
Ed Schoonover as well.
Oh, and Ed Schoonover.
Okay. Do you need us to?
A motion.
Okay. I will make a motion to allow those listed by the clerk to approve the waiver to serve on more than one committee.
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. I'm an aye. Councilor Safford?
Aye.
Councilor Woodson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderall?
Aye.
Councilor King?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
Now we will go to what was item B? And that is public safety. There's an appointment for a new member to the fiscal year 2024-2025 Public Safety Committee by the name of Dawn Thomas. Is there a motion to approve Dawn Thomas to the vacant seat for the Public Safety Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Adderholt, seconded by Councilor Safford. Any further discussion? Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
Councilor Safford?
Aye.
Councilor Woodson?
Aye.
Councilor King?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously. Next is the proposed 2025 Town Council schedule. This is item C. The only issue I have with this is the conflicts on the M&P meetings for the TDC meetings. Looks like there are 1, 2, 3, 4 meetings that are in conflict. I would propose
Manager
Well, it's fine with me.
for the scheduling.
She put the schedule. Doesn't meet with you, your schedule.
I would like, if it's possible, to adjust those dates.
I think it's fine, but
so that we don't have an overlap. Being president of the TDC is pretty important.
Yep.
And then prior, Vice Mayor Adderholt, you had mentioned wanting to move a date also.
Yes, please. I had probably a couple months ago sent a note to the clerk to see if we could move the January 6th meeting to either the 13th or maybe the 9th, whatever anybody's schedule. I know it's far away, but whatever would work best for everybody's schedule. I will literally be out of town. I know I could call in, but in a perfect world, I never missed a meeting. I'd like to be here if I can, especially since we have time to adjust. And that's the January 6th meeting, which is a Monday, hoping to move to, again, whatever you recommend, clerk, but I was going to suggest the 13th or the 9th or.
I'm okay with either one.
Well, the 9th is management planning.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Which is in conflict with the TDC. So that's another one that we'll.
gonna move it to the 7th. We have other meetings on Tuesday.
Can't do the 7th.
Okay.
Because I won't be back, but I will be back the 8th.
Might be other
That's
committee
up to
meetings
you.
that-
There's some committee meetings that, but you take precedence over them so we can move some committees. The 8th is a MRF meeting at 10. The 13th is an audit meeting at 9 a.m. Other than that, we have magistrate probably on January 7th.
Only reason why I'm saying that is because we get the back-to-back week things with advertising and things like
Yeah,
that. We could
it's
run into a
crazy.
problem. So we don't
Mhm.
want to create a situation where we have to reschedule because we advertisement wasn't
Right.
length wasn't enough notification.
I'm okay with the 8th if that works for your schedule, Vice Mayor.
8th would be great if that works for everybody else.
So
good with the 8th.
the 6th meeting will move to the 8th.
You want the M&P after that on the 8th as well?
I'm flexible. If you can,
we do that?
Just here.
That's fine.
yeah, do both.
Instead
at
of
the same
another
time.
day.
I'm fine with that. Everybody else okay with that?
I'm okay with it. I would just ask that we get a new schedule out so I can,
Yeah.
Thank you.
update
We
our-
will.
And then the 9th
You're not gonna be
is going to be, that's moved to the 8th.
8th,
then.
yep, it'll be the
Okay.
day before. So we'll have M&P and the council meeting on the 8th.
I'll be here in spirit and in Zoom.
And then do you want to go through the dates on the ones that conflict with the M&Ps that conflict with the,
Sure.
Yes.
That would be well, you just moved the January. Well,
yeah, so it'll be the
Conflicts.
April 10th meeting. I'm okay. I'm fine with any date, whatever everybody else's schedule works.
We'll move that to the 9th.
Just move it to the day before.
That makes sense.
mhm.
I'm okay with doing that with the April, May, and October as well.
Just move it one day prior.
It works for me if it works for everyone else.
That makes sense.
Then we don't get into advertising issues. And everyone okay with that? Okay.
So the new dates will be April 9th. These are for the M&P meetings. April 9th, October 8th, and May 7th.
Yes. And you'll get us an updated schedule of that.
Please,
Yep.
because I didn't even bother to write them down.
You'll bring it back to the next meeting to approve or just,
I think we can approve it. You just email it to us.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
Is everybody okay with that? I don't think we need to have it as another agenda item.
Yep.
It's on record. Okay.
You want a motion?
Is there a motion to approve the amended 2025 town council schedule? I will, go ahead.
Go ahead, second, or where do you need me?
Counselor King will make the motion. I will second. Any further discussion? Counselor King?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Vice Mayor Adamo?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Counselor Stafford?
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Next is item D. This is a resolution of the town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, adopting the uniform method for the levy collection and enforcement of non-ad valorem assessments pursuant to section 197.3632 Florida statutes for demolition of unsafe structures determined by the building official and remove of resulting debris, any title search fees, and any and all costs associated with appellate review of the property owner's appeal of the town's building official's determination, deeming a structure unsafe under chapter 34 of the town's land development code as amended from the time to time for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024 and subsequent fiscal years within the territorial boundaries of the town and providing for an effective date.
So what this resolution does is it complies with Florida statutes to allow you to collect any costs that the town incurs as a result of the town having to go in and demolish any type of unsafe structure. So this will only apply to hopefully a limited number of people. If the town does go in and demolish their building, all those costs would be placed on the tax bill that they receive next year. There's a couple more, there's some very specific requirements that have to be satisfied under Florida law, including the publication of a notice for 4 consecutive weeks in the newspaper prior to your adoption of this resolution. And that notification and publication has occurred. The next step will be to enter into an interlocal agreement with the property appraiser and tax collectors, and that will need to be done before January the 10th. So you'll see those two documents coming back to you, and then that will set up your framework in the event that the town has to go in and demolish any of these buildings for the recovery of the costs.
Okay. Any questions for Nancy? All right. Is there a motion to approve resolution 24-74?
251.
251, I'm sorry. That's the old one.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Counselor King, seconded by Counselor Safford. Any further discussion? Counselor King?
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adler?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously. Next is a resolution 24-247, development agreements with deviations. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, amending resolution 24-73, containing the procedures for development agreements with deviations to clarify that these development agreements are home rule development agreements, and to amend related notice requirements for consistency with notice requirements in section 2-98 and chapter 34 of the Town of Fort Myers Beach Land Development Code, and require a recommendation from the town manager regarding the proposed development agreement and providing an effective date. Nancy?
So as you've seen, sometimes when you adopt a new procedure, things don't go as planned. It can be a little
Why?
choppy.
Wait a minute. What?
It can be a little choppy. And so if you recall, your code authorized you to enter into not only statutory development agreements, but also home rule development agreements. And as we've worked through this process with one development proposal or application, we found that there are a couple inconsistencies between your resolution and the code that you have in place. Your resolution talks about a development agreement being the comparable to a plan development, and the plan development approvals that you do have a certain procedure that you follow for adoption, and that includes the adoption of an ordinance, which requires 2 readings of the title and 1 published notice of it. And that published notice has to be 10 days before your hearing where you can adopt it. The statutory development agreement, the notice provisions there are a little bit different. Those notice provisions require 2 publications of an advertisement 7 days before a public hearing on the development agreement, one of which could be your local planning agency meeting. So currently your code does not have notice requirements for development agreements. What your code, home rule, and I have to be specific, home rule development agreements. Right now, what your code has is notice requirements for statutory development agreements, which basically is a mailing to individuals who are within 375 feet of the proposed project. Your current draft or your current resolution for home rule development agreements, the mailing goes to 500, so it's even broader. And you have your LPA hearing, and you have your 2 town council meetings. So already there are 3 required public hearings in contrast to the statutory development agreement, which requires only 2. So currently we want to align your resolution with notice provisions for home rule agreements. We want to align that with your existing code as far as plan developments. So that is the proposal that is have our one applicant come forward and request an additional meeting, which you could put that into your resolution as well. But my recommendation would be at the request of a property owner or developer to have additional meetings. Because the way your rules are set up right now is to allow for smaller developments to come through. So those smaller projects, they still are going to have the 3 public hearings, the LPA, and then the adoption of an ordinance. If you had a mandatory additional meeting, that would be 4 public hearings, which is a little bit onerous for a smaller project. For a larger project, maybe it's not so bad. For the current project that's moving before you, they will have had, assuming that on the 16th it's approved or denied, they will have had 4 public meetings. So any questions on these rules?
Counselor King?
No.
Vice Mayor Holt?
Had a chance to talk to council yesterday. I'm clear and I'm good.
I am as well. Counselor Woodson?
I'm good.
Counselor Safford?
I'm good.
All right. Is there a motion to approve resolution 24-247? I will make the motion to approve
Second.
resolution 24-247, seconded by Counselor King. Any further discussion? All right. I'm an aye. Counselor King?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Holt?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
Counselor Safford?
Aye.
All right. That motion carries unanimously. Next is a resolution 24-221 authorizing contract with Tyler Technologies. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach authorizing the town manager enter into a contract with Tyler Technologies to provide software as a service, SaaS, and annual support and implementation services to replace the town's financial and accounting software with Tyler ERP Pro, representing an initial startup fee of $66,620 and an annual reoccurring fee of $60,921, authorizing the town manager to sign the contract and any documents pertaining to the contract and providing for an effective date. Mr. Manager?
Joe will explain.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Onzik, the Finance Director. I'm very excited to present this resolution to you. At the very first Audit Committee meeting last year, they had unanimously approved that a recommendation that we replace our software. The software we currently have has been very difficult and challenging to work with, especially in extracting data for reporting. And there's also very limited in its functionality. So this software for Tyler, it's very easy to use. It's very easy to extract the data. It contains content management features, which would enable us to actually attach documentation to the transactions that we'll be recording. So that would pretty much make things paperless for us and make it much easier to audit for the auditors. It also has a feature where they have like a standby accounts payable service where they could actually generate the accounts payable for us, like in the event of a hurricane or something like that, where they could do that for us. And all we have to do is pay a minimal fee and the postage for mailing out the check. So it's just a nice feature. I don't anticipate we would use it, but it's nice to know that it's there. They also have grant management and project management modules, which would be integrated into the software. That would make it easier in that respect as well. And it has wonderful reporting capabilities, and everything can be extracted into spreadsheets. So it would really make us much more efficient. So this is also used by our neighboring communities, such as Bonita Springs and Sanibel. It's also used by many other cities and towns in the state of Florida. They presented a short demo to the audit committee at the last meeting last Thursday, and the audit committee then unanimously recommended that the town do accept the software and move forward with that implementation. The cost is already included in the fiscal year budget, and as explained in the title of the resolution, there's an implementation fee of $66,620, which includes the data conversion, training, all the setup. This would be done remotely, so even though there's part of their contract, they have very detailed explanation of how they would be reimbursed for travel expenses. There would not be any travel expenses. Also, then there'd be the annual recurring fee of $60,921 for use of the software for the first 3 years. After that, it would renew at the rate that was then in effect, and asking them what those increases typically have been. And they had said about every 5 years, they increase it anywhere from 3 to 5%. So that is also very reasonable. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Counselor Safford, any questions?
I don't have a question, but I was on the audit committee or at the audit committee meeting and saw the demonstration, and that software is really, really slick. And the price is right too. The data conversions, the pricing's great. You can go in and just click. If you have a question about one of the accounts, you can click right on it. It'll pull up the invoice boxes or anything else. I mean, it's going to make them much more efficient.
Excellent.
And the implementation is going to be 6 months, correct?
That's correct. Assuming that we can keep up with their schedule, then we should be able to have it in 6 months.
And there's some big companies, their implementation takes 2 to 3 years, and 6 months is fantastic. So I highly recommend this.
Okay. Counselor Woodson, questions?
No questions, but if this keeps our CFO from having to work every weekend to extract information, I'm all for it.
Very well said. Vice Mayor Hall? No. Counselor King?
Are we still paying for the current software we're using, or
We are, and we will be until we switch over.
do we have the cost of that?
Not at my fingertips. I want to say it's somewhere it's close to this, but not quite as much. I'm thinking it might be around between 45,000.
But we're getting a lot more for this.
Yes, we have more modules that we would actually be using, features. It has a dashboard that we could make public, where people from the public can go in and drill down or do reports or see whatever they want to
Nice.
see, or could limit it to town council. But there is that feature as well. It has a budgeting module, so it has many more features.
Okay.
Thank
Than
you,
what
Joe.
we'd be getting for the increase in cost.
Thank you.
Very good. Sounds like everybody that needs to be happy with it is happy with it.
I think so.
All right. Is there a motion to approve resolution 24-221 for the contract with Tyler Technologies?
So moved.
A motion by Counselor Safford,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
And Counselor King.
All right.
Motion is carries unanimously. Next is item G, resolution 24-253, a budget amendment number 8 for fiscal year 2024 year-end adjustments. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Lee County, Florida, approving year-end budget adjustment number 8 for fiscal year 2024 and providing an effective date. Joe?
Yes, we have, according to state statute, we have 60 days after the end of the fiscal year to do the necessary reconciliations and any final budget adjustments. And so we've made an attempt to do that, to bring our budget into alignment for decisions that have been made during the year that weren't necessarily reflected in the budget at the time. And this would be an opportunity now to reflect on those decisions. And I would say that technically it's not necessary to bring these to council, but we wanted to do so just for the sake of transparency. And since you were so involved in the approval of the adopted budget. So the first group have to do with the grant payroll coordinator position that was added to the finance department earlier in the year. That was done with the understanding that there were savings from other vacancies in other areas. And so that would be how it would be funded. And so now that change will be reflected in this budget adjustment. Also, there were additional expenditures that were not necessarily anticipated in the budget for 2024. And these were small expenditures for Newton Park, Times Square, and even for the Mound House. But there is savings overall in many other areas that were covering these expenditures. There were also additional audit expenses incurred due to the volume of emergency expenditures that were required to be audited as a result of FEMA reimbursements. And there is also, so because of all the savings, and we did not really touch our contingency fund in the general fund, the simplest thing to do would be to just use the unused portion of the contingency fund to fund those budget adjustments for the general fund, rather than pull budget out of individual departments that had the savings. Likewise, within the FDM Hurricane Recovery Loan Fund, that was a brand new loan. We had a $5 million loan from FDM to provide cash up front for some of the FEMA projects that we would be incurring expenditures for. At the time, we weren't sure how much of that we would need. And so this is an opportunity now in retrospect to make that budget adjustment. I think there's a total of $305,000 that we actually used of that loan. And then finally, for Bayside Park, the Volunteer Florida Grant, we received that the previous fiscal year, but some of the expenditures carried forward to this fiscal year. And so we just need to move the unutilized expense from last year and recognize that we're utilizing that to pay for the expenses that were incurred this year. So I think that covers in general what this budget adjustment is all about.
Okay, Counselor King, questions for Joe?
I have none.
Vice Mayor Adderholt?
None.
Counselor Woodson?
None.
Counselor Safford?
I have one question about the shopkeep expense. And it seems, I used shopkeep, and I think you use shopkeep over at the, I thought you guys did.
We were going to.
Well, yeah, so I had a question why it was $6,000, because I previously used that software and it seemed a little steep.
And then in doing a little bit of research, what I realized had happened is the actual shopkeep $3,600, but also charged to this specific account was Verizon wireless services, which amounted to about $6,900. And so I suppose the more accurate description would have been shopkeep software and Verizon wireless expenses. I shortened it to shopkeep, but now in retrospective, probably wasn't the most clear description. So I apologize for that.
Well, and here's another example of software. You probably had to, you could, with the new software, you just click and it'd be right there.
Exactly.
Correct.
So thank you, Joe. That's all I have.
I do not have any questions either. Is there a motion to approve resolution 24-253 for budget amendment number 8 for the fiscal year 24 year-end adjustment?
So moved.
Got a motion by Counselor Safford,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Woodson. Any further discussion? Counselor Safford?
Aye.
Counselor Woodson?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Vice Mayor Adderholt?
Aye.
And Counselor King?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next, is there a final resolution 24-252? It is for a budget amendment number 7, allocation of the fiscal year 24 savings to emergency reserves. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Fort Myers Beach, Lee County, Florida, approving budget amendment number 7 to the Town General Fund and Emergency Fund, providing authority and an effective date. Joe?
So in keeping with the last budget adjustment, I made this one a separate adjustment because I think it's a very significant adjustment. What this pertains to would be the savings that were actually generated during fiscal year 2024. These are preliminary numbers, so there may be other expenses as well as other revenues that may be accrued as we continue to close the year. And then there may also be an audit adjustment possibly once it's audited. So this is the unaudited preliminary version. And as of this point, if you were to look at page 461 of the agenda, it has a page that shows the revenue and expenditures in comparison to the budget for the general fund for 2024. And you can see we had almost $300,000 of additional revenue than what we had budgeted. Most of that, or probably all of that, has to do with interest revenue that came in. We also, just scanning at the top there, we also received more parking revenue, more community development revenue, more code enforcement revenue, more short-term rental revenue, and even Bay Oaks revenue than what we had anticipated. in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. But because all, let me just back up 1 second. Because we had anticipated less revenue, we anticipated having to use more of the bridge loan. The bridge loan would be as part of that finance department line at the bottom of that revenue section. And so since we have more of those other revenues coming in and we're using less of the bridge loan revenue, that bridge loan was budgeted in the finance department. So that's what that negative almost 900,000 is. It's because we're using less of the bridge loan. But so overall, the net result is that we came out ahead revenue wise almost $300,000, and we used less of the bridge loan also as a result of that. On the expense side, down at the bottom there in the general fund, we have almost, well, more than $2.5 million of savings. Most of this has to do with vacancies. Some of it has to do with expenditures that were incurred but could be charged to the emergency fund because they would be reimbursable. And so of that $2.5 million, since it is a preliminary number, I'm recommending that we move at least 2 million of it into the emergency fund. We can always add more later once we know what the final figure is. But within the 60-day window of a budget adjustment being incorporated into our audited financial statements, I thought it would be good to at least show that we're intending on putting that $2 million in the emergency fund. And one of the reasons why, or I guess the primary reason I'm recommending that is that because of the bridge loan terms, we're not allowed to use monies like this for capital. Whereas in the past, I think that's what you had done. And understandably so, that would be the normal way to do things. But because we're limited by the bridge loan to using this for operating expenditures or for emergency expenditures, the best recommendation I could make to you would be to move it into the emergency fund. And given the fact that we've already been hit by, several storms this year, and there are unreimbursed expenditures associated with each one, it would be very wise to move that into the emergency fund.
Councilor Safford, questions for Joe?
No.
Councilor Woodson?
No.
Vice Mayor Adderall?
No.
Councilor King?
Not a question, just a comment. Thank you for all your hard work. The fiscal responsibility that you're showing, I think, is just fantastic for you and the town management staff. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I just record the actions of the team.
So
And
modest.
so it is a reflection of their work.
There's more behind the scenes than just recording.
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna tell you, we get
modest.
browbeat every day. Yeah, that's true.
This is one of those times, Joe, it's okay to throw your elbow and pat yourself on the back.
Get on it, Joe. You're good, doing good, man.
Anything else, Councilor King?
No, thank you.
I do not have anything additional either. Is there a motion to approve resolution 24-252 for budget amendment number 7?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilor Safford, seconded by Councilor King. Any further discussion?
Yeah, can I add one thing?
Yes, sir.
Recently, we had a conversation with the town or city of Tarpon Springs. Their manager called. He's new. He called down. We need to talk to you. We've been hit with this hurricane. What do we do? How do we handle this? And as we discussed and talked, I kept hearing in the back, wow, you cut out jobs. I think the only jobs we cut out were the lifeguards, basically. And the things that we were telling them and how we got through this, it was like they were so impressed with how the town, you as well, had handled the post-hurricane recovery to this point. And after we explained how devastated, and they're like, oh, you're a lot devastated than we were. They were thinking the problems they had were really something, but the problems that occurred here are, this is really unprecedented in my experience. When you have such a devastation, to be putting extra $2 million from your last budget year into an emergency fund. You mostly, I realize we're getting grants and things like that, but that speaks a lot to the conservative way that Joe manages that budget and the way you manage the town and through me and the things we're trying to do. I'm patting him on the back and you on the back, and the things that we will continue to do as we go forward. It's a big deal. Other people recognize it too already. So good job, everybody.
Very good. Any other discussion? Councilor Safford?
Aye.
Councilor King?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Adderall?
Aye.
Councilor Wood? And I'm an aye as well. That motion carries unanimously. That brings us to our final public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in public comment? Come on up. So diligently waiting out there for this.
Terry Kane for the record. Oh, I am tenacious, if anything else. I just wanted to make a little history lesson. For history, when Marine Resources Task Force, what it was called originally, was created, we did allow people, this is in regard to the committees that you just appointed, we did allow off-islanders, and specifically because their expertise. We did have the Aquatic Preserve Manager, who worked for DEP, was on Marine Resources Task Force. We did have an FGCU professor, Win Everham. You hear his name all the time if you listen to that radio station. And we had an engineer from Johnson & Johnson. So they were original members of the Marine Resources Task Force. I will make a little caveat there. We were very fortunate that the engineer from Johnson & Johnson did live on Fort Myers Beach, but it was wonderful to have that person on. And in saying that and mentioning our Aquatic Preserve Manager, I just wanted you all to know that when we turn over to 2025, it'll be the 50th anniversary of the Aquatic Preserve Act. Now, I don't know if y'all know what that means, but it started here on Fort Myers Beach for the state of Florida. And I want you to know that Estero Bay was the first aquatic preserve in the state of Florida. And it was because of the residents of Fort Myers Beach that put up such a fuss about what was happening to the bay 66 years ago. It took that long for the act to come into being. It was in 1975. So we've got a lot of celebrating to do in 2025. And we're very proud that we started the Aquatic Preserve Act here in Fort Myers Beach. Question?
Mr. Mayor, I ask for unanimous consent to proceed out of order for 30 seconds. Could you just, I think I know your background. Could you just explain how you became mayor of Fort Myers Beach in a very brief period of time?
I was not mayor. I was vice mayor. It's a little emotional. John Mulholland was the mayor. I had no intentions of ever being a politician. When I applied for one position, I said I was an out-of-work politician. I was on Marine Resources Task Force. I was on a couple other committees. And John Mulholland was our mayor. John and I, had been creating with the Charlotte Harbor National Estuaries Program a document for 8 counties in the state of Florida. And we would get 50 people around a table. It was a wonderful experience. We had a round table of 50 people. We all got together. We had goals and things to reach our goals for all these different communities: Henry County, Charlotte County, Lee County, Collier County. It was an amazing experience. Unfortunately, we were about to sign the document that took us 2 years to write. We were about to sign it the next morning, and John and I were going up to Charlotte Harbor. I was the representative for the town. John was the mayor. John passed away very early in that morning. And you had to ask me, didn't you? I got a call from our town manager, Marcia Siegel George, who said, "You have to go and do this." And it was 7 o'clock in the morning. And I said, "I can't. You can't make me. You can't fire me. I'm a volunteer. You can't make me do this." And she said, "You're going to Charlotte Harbor on your own." So I called our Aquatic Preserve Manager here, that her office was under the bridge, Heather Stafford. And I said, "I can't do it." She said, "I'll be with you." So this town was signed on to the Charlotte Harbor National Estuaries Program document that was written 25 years ago.
But you did serve as mayor then?
No,
upon his
no, I
passing.
didn't.
Oh, you did not?
No, I did not. No.
But you were vice mayor though.
I became vice mayor after that term.
Gotcha.
I wasn't the vice mayor when John passed. I was nobody. I was sitting in the audience.
Oh, I see.
And they
Okay.
told me, they're elbowing me, telling me they're going to appoint you. I was the only politician that was never voted in. I had 2 terms and I was never voted on. I was appointed, and that was a little dramatic. I had a 7 and 8-year-old. I had no intentions of being, what I wound up doing. And so that's, when we came back from Charlotte Harbor, and at the next town council meeting, they asked me to show up, and they told me they were appointing me. And I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "You'd have to give me 6 figures for that job. Are you people crazy?" And at that time, we did not have any figures behind our name. We were all volunteers when we sat on council. So I was one of the reasons why you guys have a little stipend now, because I couldn't pay my babysitters.
Thank you for that history. I appreciate it.
I
Thank
got
you
a
for
lot
your
of
service.
history. I'm old.
Thanks for your service.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. town manager items.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to pat Nicole on the back a little bit. With our software and with our website, we also have had access to an app. We've now developed our app. We have an app for that. So it's a Fort Myers Beach app. We'll be getting that information more and more out. You can go in and you can find a lot of things. The emergency alerts come across there, jobs, meetings, agenda. It's just like the website, but it's going to be on an app. So we do have that available. So great job, Nicole, leading that that surge as we go into the 21st century. And
Before you,
yes,
the number one question is going to be, will permit search be able to, that's going to be the number one question. Will that be available on the app?
should be everything that we have, correct?
She's
shaking
nodding her head.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Yes. Makes it very, very useful tool that we now have and moved into the 21st century. 7-Eleven closing will be coming up probably the week after Thanksgiving. So as soon as that happens, we'll knock the building down. We'll start with the parking lot. There's a lot of things happening down there that people don't see. We pulled the floor up downstairs. We've painted the third floor. We're painting the second floor. Carpet should start coming in either next week or the next week. So there's a lot of movement going on down there. So hopefully soon we'll be able to have some big announcements about that building and the parking lot going forward. Bay Oaks Recreation Center, we've got an architect looking at some things we can do in there to kind of be a little more smarter with how we put things back. Potential to raise the basketball court, to do a few things, but we will bring this before you. And there's some insurance money involved and some things we need to do to be better stewards of what we've been given. If we keep having to replace the floor, it's like how do we stop the insanity? So we're just looking at some options. So we'll bring that and we'll have Jeff will take it to board cab so that they can see what we're doing and how we're trying to progress and also with the park as we move into this next phase. We've got the RFP out now for the park behind us. The multi-purpose field, multi-purpose field, storm water control, parking, pickleball courts, those things that were in that approval that meet the grant that we have. We also need to be obligating $1 million of the ARPA funds by the end of the year. So all this is really timely to get this accomplished now, but we've gotten into a good position that we feel like financially and where we are with the park after looking at a few things and really studying how this should be set up. And we really believe that Jeff's going to bring all this to the MORCAB as well to kind of talk to them and let them be part of where we are at this point. But right now we just have the RFP out and it's probably a couple more weeks or so, right at 2 weeks. I think the 6th is the opening.
The deadline, I think.
The 10th.
And then we'll have it to the next council meeting. Chad's here. We'll talk a little bit about beach renourishment. We do need to get your blessing to close the Matanzas Bridge at 11 o'clock p.m. on December 31st and reopening at 1 o'clock a.m. on January 1st for the fireworks. So we kind of can just get a blessing of yes, a nod, that type of thing.
Yes, everyone okay with it?
Yep. I think everybody's okay with that, but
Just needs to be on record.
Yes.
Send a FDOT.
I consent.
Consent.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Woodson?
Yes.
Councilor King? Or
Stafford.
Stafford, looking that way.
Yes.
All right.
The other thing is there's a MMP meeting on 12/4. There's also those couple of days, there's legislative, Florida League of Cities legislative days in in Orlando that I'd plan to attend and possibly the mayor as well. But we have an MMP on the 4th. I was interested to know if we could move it to the 9th or to the 11th.
On December. The MMP's on the 5th.
The 5th, yes. There you go. Sorry. But that's the 5th and 6th is this event.
You wanted to move it to the 9th or the 11th?
The 9th or the 11th, yes.
Both of those are open for me.
I'm okay with either one.
Same, either one.
11.
There you go.
If I matter.
You do.
Okay.
So
thank
the
you.
11th, everybody good with the 11th?
Well,
You prefer the 11th?
I've got it cut up. Well, it shouldn't go past then, right?
You shouldn't.
We'll make sure.
We would have to reschedule a MRF committee meeting that didn't happen this month.
Correct.
That wouldn't it?
We could put them in the afternoon.
All right.
11th it is?
Yes.
And that's moving from
Sounds
the.
good. Thank
5th.
you. There was something else, but I can't. And then-
I'm gonna take that back.
Wait.
My meeting's on Island. So, yeah. I can go to 1.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much. Frankie?
Today is the day that has been in the news lately, about November 18th, being the day that a lot of our trailer folks here in town have received a notice of violation. And through that, we've had many contacts with these owners of these, not only Conex containers, but businesses that are in these temporary trailers. We've made it well known what is needed for them to do by this date. Through the help of our legal team here, we've set up an independent counsel, DOA, who will be helping facilitate some of these cases going forward. So we have a non-bias magistrate to use when we take these court cases to court. Originally, we sent this to FEMA as part of our CAP plan, our community action plan, showing that the town really didn't have teeth without a police force. And this was a way to enforce this by going through the code enforcement process. FEMA did not like that originally until we showed that we did have a viable means of not only issuing a violation, but coming up with a notice of hearing. Now it adds a little more teeth into it, and at least the magistrate can decide how these businesses go forward, not the town. And as you all know, it's been well documented, we NOV'd ourselves as just not only a show of leadership, but also to show that, hey, we are in trailers as well, and this is the right thing to do. So today is the day where we start getting on board and getting our calendar out to start issuing the notices of hearing, which will be followed shortly. So it's kind of where we sit in that.
What's the timeline, Frankie, for if they've chosen not to leave the island by today? What's the timeline between today and the notice of hearing?
Well, that is exactly the timeline. Until we can get a hearing in place with DOA, that is their timeline to come and give their pitch. Everything we've worked out with DOA will be done here. They'll all be done through Zoom. So we will have staff, we'll have code staff here. I will be here, not only representing the town, but also helping anyone that needs help in conveying their wishes to DOA and helping get that facilitated so it all goes down. But until we actually get a calendar date with DOA, which that's what we're going to be starting today, and we'll be reaching out to each and every one that we've handed a notice of violation to.
So DOA will be the party that schedules the date
That
as
is
to
correct.
when
Correct.
each individual
Yes, sir.
violation comes
Yeah.
before.
And each notice of violation was individual case. So they're going to be treated on an individual case basis. So we'll be going through that list.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I have to ask the question. So as DOA reviews this, their basis for their finding, is it the town's policy or is it FEMA's policy? In other words, if they come and present a plan to rebuild a brick and mortar and they've really got all their ducks in order based upon what the town has requested, will DOA find with them, or will they be more deferential to FEMA's priorities?
Well, to answer that in a shorter way or a little bit longer, as the mayor likes to put it sometimes, we're dealing with federal guidelines here. So the federal guidelines from FEMA were adopted by the Florida Building Code. So that's kind of what we're going with. So what DOA would be able to do is either they're find these current structures as they sit in compliance or non-compliance. They're not making the determination for FEMA or for the town. The town really doesn't have a dog in this fight, so to speak. It is basically just dealing with the FEMA guidelines as they are written and adopted by the Florida Building Code moving forward. So as we proceed down that lane, it is DOA's role to either understand where the complainant is going with or not. And that's why we chose an independent group to do this and leave our own magistrate out of the fray, so to speak. That's still yet to be determined what will be said and what will not be said. As far as the adherence to it, each of the 5 communities that were put into this mess with the flood insurance, you had to show feasible ways of executing the guidelines, the FEMA guidelines. This actually meets that request. It shows that even though we don't have our own police force, we can't physically and forcibly make these people move the island. Not that we would want to because they're our citizens. But it does allow us to at least have a way to, through code compliance, bring them, here's our case, here's our independent counsel, and let the council decide.
I'm following you.
What
Proceed-
happens
yeah.
after
I'm
that
following you.
procedurally,
Yep.
I think FEMA at this point just wants to see that we
Yep.
have an action in place.
I'm following you procedurally. I'm just trying to, from an evidentiary basis, is DOA allowed to consider the fact that they have a plan for
They
brick
are
and mortar?
independent counsel, and all they're doing is requesting is.
Or are they
Or we're-
going to be more considerate of whether you have a light, if the trailer can be removed with a light pickup truck?
If it can be moved with a light pickup truck, they wouldn't be in violation.
Okay.
So that's the plain and simple answer there. But to the other part of it, I would defer to Madam Council.
So this is, first of all, they are impartial, as our current special magistrate is as well. Our other magistrate that we have. So everybody's independent as far as a magistrate. So this will typically be a regular code enforcement hearing, at which point staff will identify the section of the code that is in violation. The magistrate will make a decision, is there an actual violation? And at that point, the corrective action might be the removal, or if the magistrate in their discretion orders something else, then we would know what that something else is. The magistrate also has the authority to impose a fine per day that the violation continues to exist. That's something to take into consideration as well.
It's a poetic lawyer answer, and I appreciate it very much. And I say that respectfully. But I guess my question is DOA allowed from an evidentiary standpoint to consider the fact that somebody may have a plan for a brick and mortar that's either being implemented or?
No, the magistrate has the authority in any code enforcement case to provide additional time for compliance to be achieved. They can do that. And in your example, it would be that they would give them additional time to get the brick and mortar finalized. However, we do have FEMA that has very strongly said that these things need to be removed ASAP. So that would be a decision that the magistrate would have to make. I'm certain that the property owner would make that argument, but whether or not the magistrate agrees with that.
I just didn't know if the magistrate's allowed to consider that as
Yes.
evidence. Okay, that's good.
Yes.
That's helpful.
Because that would happen in any code enforcement hearing, additional time to come into compliance.
Gotcha.
And currently, to that point, Mr. Vice Mayor, we only have one business that falls into that category.
Okay.
And Frankie, in response to the letter that we received back from FEMA that said the process in which we were going through to give them the violation, they said it was not, what did they use?
It was a non-substantial or insufficient. way of
Insufficient, right.
enforcement.
And with your conversations with FEMA since then, and now they understand that the notice of hearings will be going out, have they updated their stance as far as if that is substantial enough for them?
The gentleman that we meet with on a regular basis, not the people that instructed through the letters, but our local contacts that we meet with, they said that it's more than acceptable because it shows a path of adjudication. It shows a path moving forward, and that's what they wanted. They wanted some means of enforcement. I can give anybody, I can give you an NOV. It doesn't mean anything unless I can actually back it up. Now, by taking it to a magistrate, it shows that we do have a teeth in our process, can back it up.
And have the properties that are in violation, have they all been notified of their violation?
Yes, sir.
And has the 30 days expired?
Yes, sir.
On all of those violations that have been?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we are at the process of where the hearing dates will be set.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Is that list of violated properties going to be made public or?
It is public. We have it posted here in our main lobby, which anyone can see. And if there's a request made to the clerk, I guess we could provide that as well.
Now, the second part is the National Flood Insurance Program. Today was the date for that as well. when is FEMA going to get back to us on?
So the actual date for the trailers is kind of mixed in or mired in with the 18th stood for. We were given 2 days. We were given July 16th for a day to come up with a way to address our issues. And we were given a final date of November 18th. No complaints about it, for coming up with our community action plan, showing that we have a plan and process on all levels and how we're going to continue. And that's a living document that'll go on for years and years and years, as long as we're still dealing with flooding here on the island and whatnot. Even if, perchance, there wasn't such a thing as the National Flood Insurance Program, we still have to comply with the Florida Building Code. And that kind of mows along. And that was the hard and true date of November 18th, getting that. The town successfully submitted their packet, and it was accepted last Friday. They had told us, Andy and I, in a meeting with Deputy Director Robert Suman, that it would take roughly about 30 days, give or take, for them to review and make comment and get back. It doesn't mean pass or fail. It just means that it, again, is a living document. They could make suggestions. You can tweak as you go forward. And that's kind of what we got out of that conversation. But that was the hard and fast date of November 18th originally. And the trailer thing just kind of morphed along with it.
So within 30 days, we still might not have an answer of what happens with our participation.
That
in
is clear, sir. And the rest of the communities involved here, we stay in communication on a weekly basis. We're all in the same boat.
So we, in essence, have a sort of Damocles hanging over our head.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think the important part is to point out repeatedly, which we've tried to do, is that the town staff has met every demand that has been requested.
That is correct.
From FEMA, and is now in their hands to determine if it's sufficient enough for them or make recommendations, as Frankie has said, to alter the plan a little bit. But it sounds like you had updated the plan of what was insufficient. And now, at least our local rep is saying it should be sufficient, or it is sufficient.
That is correct, sir. So
And the acceptance of FEMA, the Atlanta office, has been of just our plan, our updated plan, not necessarily their recommendation one way.
that is correct, sir. Yeah.
Just trying to be as clear as we can.
Thank you, Frankie.
Thank you. All right. that's all
Anything
I
else? Okay. Town attorney items.
I have 2.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for your patience today with our new process for appointing individuals to committees. I think it went fairly well as far as the tabulation and the announcement and the transparency, but we did have 2 hiccups. One was on what should we do when there's a tie vote, and the other is some discussion about the qualifications. So I would like to bring that back to you at your M&P meeting, so you guys can discuss it and we can make whatever changes and take care of that. So when we go into 2025, it works. My other item is, as you know, we have 2 code enforcement foreclosure cases that are pending. One case regarding some property on Nature View is set to go to sale, hopefully on the 21st, coming up very soon. And we hope that that will resolve that case. And the town will be able to collect the money due on the existing lien. The other case is the White Sand property, and that case is a little bit more complicated as far as the litigation. We recently had a change of judge, and this judge is really putting his foot on the accelerator pedal to move this case forward to completion. With that said, we are being mandated to have a mediation on December the 9th. And my request to you is that perhaps one of you be selected to participate with us in that mediation process. This is actually our second mediation in this case. The first mediation came to an impasse, and settlement would be kind of advantageous for everyone, in my opinion, rather than litigate it for more years. The judge was very upset. Basically, this is the oldest case on the docket right now, so he really wants to move it forward. So if you all could decide, maybe if there's somebody that has that time and would be interested in participating.
My calendar's open. I just looked. I would participate.
Second.
Sounds like Karen, I'm perfectly fine with you.
Good,
Really
good,
fun.
Tiger.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
That's good. Okay. Anything, that's all you have?
That's all I have.
Okay. Next council member items and report. Councilor Safford.
Yes, I have a question about the ongoing traffic nonsense going on at the base of the bridge. I know we'd spoken about getting either Lee County involved at the stoplight and then perhaps our own team members down at the other side of Margaritaville. How's that progressing?
We typically just have to put a contract in place with the county for that traffic light. Basically, we did that last year, and it you know, it was what it was. But you know, they did their job, and you know, was it what we all wanted before? But we just need to get that finalized.
Well, I think given that sand sculpting is Thursday, that we should have a plan in place because
I think it's two plans. I think that falls with the sand sculpting permit as well. But we've talked to the county. They said they had not been contacted by the applicant. So we've been involved with the county, trying to get that taken care of. County does what the county does, but we have talked to the commander about that. We'll try to expedite that as quickly as we can.
As far as the Fifth and Crescent, we implemented last week, where we have rangers from 2 to roughly 6-ish out there directing traffic so that the people going northbound on Crescent and turning onto Fifth just go right through that intersection, and they wait for traffic to come and from the other direction and let them go as well. So that seemed to work fairly well on Friday. I think there's just little tweaking that needs to be done, but we'll have it up and running and in good shape for the sand sculpting.
Yeah. Well, I noticed a significant difference on Friday versus the other days where it would have taken an hour and a half, took 28 minutes. So whatever, you were always at least moving. There was still traffic, but it was never stopped, at least in my personal experience.
We are trying to get there.
Are we still working on the signs? Not trying to hijack your
No.
but are we still working on those signs that say incoming traffic does not stop? The signs that were requested for?
Yes,
Fifth
we
and
are
Crescent?
getting the PO all set and to order. That should be within a week or so.
I don't remember if we covered it on the meeting, but there seems to be some confusion, and we're seeing a lot more, at least I've seen a lot more people that don't realize that you have to continue straight at Crescent and Fifth to get to downtown.
Yeah.
They're turning left at Fifth, and then they're making a U-turn around at the base of the bridge,
Yep,
and people
I
aren't
noticed that
letting
this
them in.
morning.
The
So-
signs should have been installed on Friday, so I'll go
I
through
didn't see them, but
some checks. But yeah, they were putting those in actually when we were going to lunch on Friday.
maybe I missed it, but something to say, continue straight if you're going to downtown.
It says, it says to North Estero. I don't know if it says specifically downtown, but
Well, it should.
Yeah, it really should.
Because
Literally
people,
that's what the
that's what people, even we got to write with a marker on it, something.
Let's get something up there.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Woodson?
Just a couple things. So I currently sit on the Horizon Council, and they always meet. So the executive committee meets on a Friday, and the general membership meeting is on a Friday. And I now have issues with Fridays. So I don't know if there's someone else that is interested in representing the town on the Horizon Council, or how we need to do this. I don't want to just be a no-show all the time.
Right. I mean, I can do it. I was on it before, so I'm familiar with it. As long as there's someone that can fill in, should I not be able to make it on a Friday for some reason, but I'd be happy to help with that. If anyone else has any other interest in it?
Second.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I can do it. Or at least I'll do it as many times as I can. If I can't make it on a certain Friday, can you fill in? Should I not be able to make it? Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
We work our schedules out to see if, okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right, anything else?
No, I'm good.
And Amy, will you take care of letting them know? And they usually send out an email. Okay. Vice Mayor Adderholt. Oh, you
Yes.
got pamphlets.
I got pamphlets. If we hand those down, great. If we hand those that way, John.
I wanted a sand bucket.
That's
what I thought we were doing.
Amazon.com.
Stick up your game, man.
We had a ad hoc committee meeting for the Fort Myers Beach Elementary School the evening of November 13th at the Lee County School Administration Building. And it was an interesting meeting. They're currently going through the interview process for a new principal. The interim principal is in the interview process, and one of our ad hoc committee members, who's a parent, gave her great praise on behalf of the parents. The storm surge for the beach school was about 3 feet, and there's all kinds of issues with subflooring that they're doing the remediation on. Obviously, the carpet, drywall, need to repair the transformer. Lots of challenges in the crawl space. They need to do air quality testing, et cetera, et cetera. The gentleman who's responsible for those issues with Lee County was there. He would not give us a firm timeline as to when the school would be reopened. But John Koss, who has a construction background, was guesstimating, 3, 4, 5 months, somewhere in that range, hopefully on the sooner side. The summer of 2025, the construction is still scheduled to begin on the kitchen cafe for the school, which is a significant investment by the Lee County School District. One of the challenges I just want to bring my colleagues up to speed on is that the Lee County School Administration has the cost per student for Fort Myers Beach in comparison with Pine Island and Sanibel still at a very troubling number, and we're very concerned that those numbers are not up to date. I think is Tracy's still here? I don't want to quote her, but certainly significant budget cuts have been made in the last couple of years for the Fort Myers Beach Elementary School. The classes have doubled up, and so there's been tremendous economies that have been made, almost to the point where we think we're almost in we're roughly compatible cost per student with the other Pine Island and Sanibel communities, and obviously we're making progress on our enrollment as well. So I guess the reason for me to share that with you all is that these numbers are being bantied about. The former district rep for our area, who is no longer part of the process because her term has expired, made a very disparaging remark about whether the beach school should exist at a recent school board meeting. And I think our new reps, who in my experience have been very supportive of the beach school, Bill, who's our district rep, and Vanessa, who's our new at-large rep, have been very supportive of the school. And Denise, our new school superintendent, has been very supportive. I guess I say that as you run into these folks at various gatherings, please let them know that we're making great progress on the enrollment side, and the cost per student numbers that are being bantied about, we do not think are correct, and we think they're demonstrably in error. And so try to encourage those folks when you see them at various community events. Again, they're on record during their campaigns as being very supportive of the beach school. We just need to get that message out. Hopefully we'll have some better numbers. I know some of the parents have made an open records request, trying to get some better numbers, more updated numbers. The school district has offered to try to update those numbers as well and give us a better sense. I passed out a little brochure about Fort Myers Beach Elementary School, which we're going to get many more copies of that we can disseminate around to our businesses, just touting all the beautiful benefits of the Lee County Elementary School, particularly the fact that off-island residents are welcome, the fact that it's the number one K through 5 Lee County school for testing. It's an A-rated school, et cetera, et cetera. They're working out all the transportation issues, so we're hoping to have them back open soon. But I just wanted to update my colleagues as to where that's headed. We'll have another ad hoc committee meeting in a few months, and hopefully have some better information for you. This is on a somewhat lighter note. I was chatting with Andy before the meeting, and we talked about when the new town hall is open, and I don't think it should be just really the second floor. I think when the new chamber is open on the first floor, I suggested that we at least all have a ceremonial swearing in, because I know Dan and I were sworn in at home originally during COVID, not by our choice. And then John and Karen were sworn in an Army tent. And Scott's been sworn in now in a temporary trailer and a gymnasium. So I just think it would be nice ceremonially to have that in those new chambers, a way to kind of christen those new chambers. I just want to make sure everybody was good with that, so Andy had some direction, and just make that a kind of a pleasant.
I'm fine with it. Counselor Woodson?
Sure.
Counselor Savage?
Sure.
Um,
How about a pickleball court?
As long as I don't have to get dressed up.
Shorts are fine, at least in my perspective. Okay, so I had two quick things. One of our condo board officers for a condo on the south end had a query and an exchange with I don't normally do this because I try to give people a heads up, but I didn't get a chance to get with Nancy on this. I talked with Frankie about it. He needs to check as well. Our building official, who I have tremendous respect for, is telling our condo folks that the milestone studies for condo buildings, the benchmark and that report has to be in based upon the 25 years of the age of the building. A lot of people thought the statute was 30 years, and
It's 25 with your so far like 3 miles or less within the coast.
so that's the differentiation, John.
Yeah.
So you're comfortable based upon what you've heard that it is 25 years for Fort
That's
Myers Beach?
my understanding of it.
Yeah. If you could confirm
I
that,
can
Nancy,
confirm, yes. I don't know right offhand.
that would be helpful. Thank you.
And I think on that, the governor has led that he's going to be calling a special meeting specifically about this
Special
subject
session
in December. yeah.
This
I
issue and
think-
the reserve requirements.
Well, I think that's more the reserve requirements, but I hadn't heard it was about the milestone inspection.
And it has been very specific, but my understanding is it's going to be about the entire thing, but that could change.
And again, I meant to catch Jason on the way back. Jason, have you heard any news about the Strandview property that's next? I normally like to give people a heads up because we were going to try to talk to some various land trusts about acquiring the Strandview property next to Newton Park. I know you've all had a lot on your plate. Anything new or additional to add on that, or?
Come on down, Jason Freeman.
I don't. Again, I normally don't put people on the spot.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Jason Freeman for the record. So we did get a final asking price for that property. I believe it was upwards of over 11 million. But we've been in contact with the Florida Communities Trust, as well as the folks that came and presented at your last meeting for the nonprofit version as well. So we're still working on it, but it's a good chunk of money.
And just so people who are watching understand, the goal would be for the town to purchase it, then being reimbursed by the land trust, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's one way to do it. As well as there's a couple other grants out there that we're looking into, similar to that for property acquisition, especially for parks. There's some money out there that we're trying to look for, as well as similar to it too. The R2P2 folks are finishing up their draft report for you all, and hopefully they'll come present that to you in the next couple council meetings. But that has to do a lot with Newton Park as well, and kind of how to strategize to use that property. So.
You
Some
did
stuff
great
out
for-
there. Yeah,
You're
it's just a
being
little more
great for
time.
called out on the spot. Thank you, Jason. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. That's all I've got. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councilor King.
I'll just piggyback on what the Vice Mayor said. The swearing in for the new school board and the new superintendent will be tomorrow at 3:00. And then the mayor and I think, are, if anyone else wants to attend, going downtown for the swearing in tomorrow morning of the Board of County Commissioners. I've had a question come up with the EIBC issue. Well, that goes back then to the LPA before it comes to us again?
Yes.
Thank you. I've had a couple of conversations with the town manager, knowing his time on his contract is coming to a close. I'd like us to start thinking about how we want to handle that. I know it was signed, I think, in April, so it's like a minimum of 120 days, or maybe that he has to notify us in 90 for us to act, but I sure like to keep him around. So I'd like us to look at talking about that down the road.
Could we, since we have our human resources person here, John, do you have a process? Because this has always been, at least in the past, very awkward and poorly handled. Prior to Andy.
Well, that's right up our alley then, isn't it?
I think
We do.
I think the mayor can attest to that. Do you have a strategy or plan to how we should, as a council, address that issue?
Sure. So as a starting point, will review Andy's contract to let you know what the parameters are, so you're aware of that. And then I can put together a protocol or process that would be very straightforward for you all to request to extend or deny that.
Very good. That'd be great. Thank you. Anything else, John?
That's all I have. Thank you.
The only thing I have is in case people are nerds like me and want to watch or pay attention to tomorrow at 10 a.m. FEMA director or FEMA administrator Criswell will be in front of the subcommittee on economic development, public hearings, and emergency management
10 o'clock.
at 10 o'clock, facing some probably very heavy duty questions from those on Capitol Hill. One of them being our representative in Congress, Congressman Donalds, will be one of the people asking questions. So if you want to pay attention to that, to see if some of the answers come out, we did submit questions on behalf of the town to his staff that they may or may not ask. They only get a few minutes. I think it's 5 minutes apiece to ask questions, but they will be submitted into record is what I've been told, to try to get some answers to some of the questions that we have had for the FEMA throughout the process. So if you have nothing else to do or you want to follow that, just a public service announcement. With that, I have nothing else.
I would like to harp on and remember the immortal words of Hoyt Axton, as sung by Three Dog Night, and it's been cool. So maybe we do need a Three Dog Night. But joy to the world, all the boys and girls now. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. I was promised joy, and I wanted some joy. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Move to adjourn.
Got a motion by Counselor King. I'll second. All those in favor?